stood up and walked to Shang Ruoi. Seeing that she looked normal, he smiled and said, "Do you want someone to cook some midnight snacks?" "Cook midnight snacks? What midnight snacks?" Su Zimo rolled his eyes. He almost became the midnight snack for the tigers. "No need, you guys chat, I'm going to rest." He Jingheng heard this and asked Yun Tian to bring the cloak. "What are you going to do?" Su Zimo looked at his actions and had a bad feeling in his heart. He Jingheng didn't say anything, but just put on his outer robe and walked outside. Yun Tian walked up to him and made a gesture of invitation. "Master Su, the Crown Prince's wife wants to rest, and the Crown Prince invites you to discuss matters outside." What? Where? Why did he feel like he had heard it wrong? To discuss matters outside? Which outside? In the yard? He walked out quickly and saw that He Jingheng was indeed standing under a dead tree in the yard. A gust of cold wind blew, and the dead leaves on the tree fell to the ground. "No, there is not even a study in your house?" he said in disbelief. Who would discuss matters in the yard? In this cold and snowy weather? "Master Su, the study is connected to the Crown Prince's wife's bedroom. If you discuss matters inside, I'm afraid it will disturb the Crown Prince's wife's rest," Yun Tian explained. The shock on Su Zimo's face was completely from the heart. He didn't expect that He Jingheng would one day do this for a woman. "Don't you have guest rooms in your house? Can't we hold meetings in the guest rooms? Why do we have to hold meetings in the yard?" Seeing that He Jingheng didn't say anything, he suddenly thought of the way Shang Ruoi looked at him before, so he had to resign himself to sitting on the cold stone bench in the yard. What kind of fate do I have every day? The two of them discussed matters until late at night. When they were about to leave, Yun Tian came over and handed Su Zimo a porcelain bottle. "The princess said you will need it." "What is this?" "This is a pill for treating typhoid fever." Su Zimo's chest rose and fell violently. What a black-hearted couple. He really wanted to have some backbone, throw away the pill, and turn around and leave. But how much is backbone worth to him? He snorted coldly, took the pill, and turned to leave. This time when he left, he deliberately took a detour and did not go through the village entrance. He came to the north and found a pack of wolves after walking for a while. He was so scared that he hurried back and came to the south. There were actually lions in the south. He wanted to use Qinggong, but there were many traps here. If one accidentally fell into a trap, he might as well fight with a tiger. He kept tossing until it was almost dawn before he returned to the post house. Seeing him come back so tired, the guards around Zheng Qi hurried back to report. "He's fooling around outside until late at night again." Zheng Qi slammed the table fiercely. "He's just a good-for-nothing. Who said he was good friends with He Jingheng?" "My lord, it was Master Su who said it himself. If Su Zimo, that was my grandson, I would beat him to death." Zheng Qi said angrily. "How could He Jingheng be good friends with such a? If they were really good friends, I would resign from the post of Zhongshu Ling." "My lord, are we going tomorrow?" "Yes." Zheng Qi narrowed his eyes slightly. "Why not? Tomorrow not only will we go, but we will also bring the officials guarding here. I want to see if He Jingheng will even refuse to let the officials in. If so, it means that he has a rebellious heart and wants to secede. At that time, I will return to Beijing immediately and report him severely. By then, no matter what achievements he has made in Dinghua Palace, they will all be in vain. Your Excellency is wise." The next morning, Shang Ruai just got up and heard the baby crying one after another. Since she went to Bailing, the child she picked up has been taken care of by the old princess. "Peony, what's the matter?" "Miss," the nanny beside the old princess said that Miss Weishi started to have a fever since last night and wanted to bring her to you to see what happened. "Bring her in." The nanny brought He Weishi into the room. Shang Ruai looked at her for a long time and did not find anything unusual, but the child did have a high fever. She had no choice but to hold her hand and transfer the energy in the space into her body. In an instant, her crying stopped, and her eyes, which had been red and swollen from crying, looked at her. Seeing this, the nanny exclaimed in wonder. "Could it be that Miss Weishi missed you, so she cried and wanted to see you?" Shang Ruai smiled, watching the nanny tidying up her clothes, and suddenly a red mark fell into her eyes. Mammy, please go back first. Just leave her here. Shang Ruai said with a smile. I haven't seen her for a long time, and I miss her now. Yes. After the mammy left, Shang Ruai told Xiaoyao not to disturb anyone. She looked carefully at the red mark on her body. At first, she thought it was the mark of Chiyu Villa, but after a closer look, it didn't look like it. Instead, it looked like a butterfly, a leaf, and it seemed to be just a birthmark. Forget it. Maybe it's just a birthmark. She whispered. If I hadn't gone to deal with the plague last time, how could I have met her? After breakfast, the old princess sent someone to look for her. She was old and loved children very much. Now, she didn't want to be separated from her for a moment. After breakfast, Shang Ruai went directly to the mountain stream. After only 2 days, those iron feather guards were all covered in dust, and some were even seriously injured. The iron feather guards who had not passed the first level saw her coming and bowed their hands dejectedly. Crown Princess. Why, you still can't pass the first level. Hearing her say that, the iron feather guards, who were originally very arrogant, looked a little ugly. Crown Princess, your mechanism is really too difficult. You have profound internal strength, so you naturally don't take these things seriously. However, our internal strength is low and cannot compare with you, so naturally we can't pass it. Internal strength? Shang Ruai smiled. These mechanisms can be passed even without the slightest internal strength. How is that possible? Why is it impossible? Shang Ruai stepped forward. Since you are not convinced, then I will demonstrate it to you. She clenched her palms, and there was a crisp sound from her body, and her internal strength was completely sealed.
Princess, no.
It's okay. Shang Ruai smiled. It's just a small mechanism. It can't hurt me. She took a step forward. There was a sound under her feet. Countless arrows flew towards her. She danced with the dagger in her hand, shot down all those arrows, moved her footsteps. Each step was full of mystery. Facing the flying arrows, she seemed to have predicted it in advance. After a while, she passed the first level. Click, click, click. The mechanism in front of her returned to its original position. Shang Ruai walked in front of them again, smiled, and said, Without internal strength, can't you pass it?
But
Shang Ruai pointed to the various books on the stone platform and said, The real elite is not just brute force, but must know astronomy and geography, not only martial arts, but also brains. Look at these books, remember, don't just know one thing but not the other, you have to read and understand them thoroughly.
yes.
After hearing what she said, they came to the stone platform and studied the mechanical gossip seriously. Bringing those iron feather guards who have lost their combat effectiveness back to the He family is equivalent to being eliminated, and they can only follow Shang Ruai as iron feather guards. Shang Ruai gave them some pills and allowed them to rest for 5 days. Although they were unwilling, they could only admit that their strength was not enough. She had just sat down and had not had time to catch her breath when she saw Xiaobai, who was lying on his stomach, stand up and look vigilantly in the direction of the wrong entrance. What's wrong? Wild beasts have a natural sense of danger. After experiencing the baptism of space, they are more sensitive to everything around them. Princess, someone from the court is here. Shang Ruai frowned slightly. Where is He Jingheng? The prince went out early in the morning. Yun Tian whispered. Zhang, who also came with them. Where is Su Zimo? I didn't see Mr. Su. He must have caught a cold last night. Yun Tian was right. When Su Zimo went back, he fell asleep immediately. He felt cold all over after just 1 hour of sleep and had to force himself to wake up. He Jingheng, you made me catch a cold. You deserve it that your wife won't let you in. After cursing for a long time, he took out the pills given by Shang Ruai, ate one, thought about it, and ate another. There was one thing Yun Tian didn't tell him, that is, this medicine must not be taken too much, otherwise the person will be like fainting and can't be woken up. Now Su Zimo is still sleeping soundly in the inn. Did your prince have any instructions before leaving? The prince said that if anyone comes, just follow your mood. Shang Ruai heard it and smiled and said, In this case, tell the guards not to stop them. As long as they can break in, let them come. She wrote a note and tied it to the leg of the gray sparrow, and the gray sparrow flew towards the mountains. When Zheng Qi arrived at the entrance of the village, Zhang Hu stepped forward and bowed, saying, "I am Zhang Hu, your humble servant. I am honored to meet the Minister of the Central Secretariat, Mr. Zhang." Zheng Qi stroked his beard. "I have come to his house in Xia village to read the imperial edict on the orders of the emperor. Unfortunately, there are wild beasts blocking the road. My people have tried many ways but are unable to drive them away. So, I have no choice but to ask Mr. Zhang to come and help." Upon hearing this, Zhang Hu said loudly, "Your Excellency, you don't know that since the people from southern Xinjiang came some time ago, there have been many more ferocious beasts in this village. It's terrifying. Your humble servant has limited ability and is unable to drive them away. Please punish me, Mr. Zhang." Horrible? Zheng Qi narrowed his eyes slightly. If it was really like what he said, why was there no fear in his eyes? Being able to sit in the position of the second-rank minister of the Central Secretariat, Zheng Qi was definitely not a good-for-nothing. Since Lord Zhang can't get in, let the people in the village come out. This. Zhang Hu smiled a little embarrassedly. "To be honest, I haven't seen anyone in this village these days." Zheng Qi saw that he was beating around the bush with him, and he couldn't help but get angry. "How dare you tease me?" "Sir, it's unjust. How dare I tease you?" Zhang Hu sighed, waved his hand, and said to the officials, "You lead the way first, the lord into the village." "Yes." Zhang Hu turned around and walked in first. The two tigers saw him, shook their tails, and ignored him. The officials behind him also entered smoothly. Zheng Qi was secretly happy when he saw this. Sure enough, Zhang Hu was lying, and the tiger clearly knew him. He waved his hand, and the guards behind him were ready to follow him in. The next moment, the tiger who was originally lying there pretending to be asleep stood up with a swoosh. He sniffed and growled.
They smelled like the ignorant man.
That man was Su Zimo. Zheng Qi was shocked. "What's going on?" Zhang Hu pretended to be shocked. "I don't know what's going on."
"Come here." He pointed at Zhang Hu and said.
Zhang Hu had no choice but to go back. This time, he walked side by side with Zheng Qi, but the fierce light in the tiger's eyes still fell on Zheng Qi, as if to say, "If you dare to step into the village, I will bite you to death." The sharp fangs made people tremble with fear. Zheng Qi stepped back again and again, angrily saying, "Whose are these two tigers?" "Sir Zheng, these are ferocious beasts, so they are naturally ownerless." Zheng Qi glared at him fiercely, looking at the guards who had fooled him that day. The two tigers were as obedient as cats. They were clearly the tigers raised by He Jingheng, and they were ownerless. At this moment, a sound of horse hooves sounded, and a group of people in white robes came up. Seeing this, Zhang Hu curled up his lips obscurely. "Oh no! Sir, hurry up! The snow bandits are coming down the mountain."
"What?
Snow bandits?" The guards behind Zheng Qi drew their swords one after another, but looking at the team of hundreds of people, they knew they were no match for them. "Sir, it is said that the snow bandits are cruel. Let's go back quickly." Zheng Qi also wanted to retreat, and suddenly a wolf howl came from not far away.
What?
This sound fell into Zheng Qi's ears, which was undoubtedly a death warrant and the last straw that broke his psychological defense line. "Sir, it's bad. There is a wolf. Not just a wolf, but a group of wolves." They kept retreating, and before they took a few steps, there was another tiger roar behind them. Now they really understand what it means to have wolves in front and tigers behind. At this time, the snow bandits had come close, and the wolves retreated when they saw them coming. Lu Qin and Lin Mu had a grim smile on their faces. "Hey, big officials. Bold snow bandits. I am an official appointed by the court. What do you want to do?" Zheng Qi said coldly.
"What?"
Lin Mu sneered. "You look unfamiliar. Maybe this is your first time here. So what? No big deal." Lin Mu took a few steps forward and came close to Zheng Qi. "You must not know the hatred between us and the court. Otherwise you wouldn't ask this question so calmly."
You.
Zhang Hu tugged at his sleeve. "Sir Zheng, a good man will not suffer a loss in front of him. These snow bandits were not wiped out when the Dinghua Palace was at its peak. You can imagine how powerful they are. Zhang Hu's words made Jing Qi's heart tighten, but he soon thought of a way to save himself. He pointed to the village behind him and said, I heard that the Dinghua Palace had encircled and suppressed you before. Now they are in this village. If you want revenge, you can rush in. Zhang Hu looked at him with contempt. Lin Mu and Lu Qin looked at each other without saying a word. Zheng Qi thought his words had worked, and continued, they have been demoted by the court. They will not be punished even if they die or are disabled. Charge in? Lu Qin sneered. What are you thinking? Dinghua Palace can defeat tens of thousands of southern Xinjiang troops. We are just a few hundred people that are not enough to fill their teeth. You let us rush in. Aren't you sending us to death? He waved his long knife, and the sharp tip of the knife pointed at Jing Qi. You old man. You dare to plot against your grandfather Lu. You are looking for death.
Boss.
The snow bandit stepped forward and whispered, Boss, he is an official appointed by the court. If we kill him here and the court investigates, we will be charged with the murder of an official appointed by the court. It is not good. Why don't we take them back to the mountain stronghold and ask their palace to send some silver? He pointed in the direction of Dinghua Palace. The people in the village are from the Dinghua Palace. If they find us, we will be in trouble. Lu Qin nodded seriously and said, You are smart, and I will reward you handsomely when we return to the village. Thank you, boss. Their conversation was not loud, but Zheng Qi heard it clearly. It seems that the Dinghua Palace has nothing to do with the snow bandits. How is it? What's the surname of this, sir? Lu Qin had a bit of viciousness on his face. You can choose whether to walk up or let the brothers carry you up. Anyway, no matter what, they have to enter this bandit's nest. Zheng Qi didn't expect that he, a second-rank Zhongshuling of the court, would be taken to the mountain by the snow bandits. He was locked up in a cell in the mountain stronghold, opposite Zhang Hu. Every day at mealtime, Zhang Hu would be taken away by the snow bandits, and he would eat the food sent by the snow bandits. From time to time, the smell of meat came from outside, and he looked at the few limp vegetable leaves on the plate, drooling with greed. That day, when it was time for dinner, Zhang Hu was taken away again. He was really curious and asked, Where are you taking him? Zhang Hu sighed and said, Master Zheng, you don't know that I have some cooking skills. It happened that the cook in their village was sick, so they asked me to cook a few dishes. Zhang Hu finished speaking, and the snow bandit said angrily, Why don't you leave quickly? What are you talking about here? Do you want to be beheaded like those people before? Zhang Hu hurriedly trotted out after hearing this. Zheng Qi looked at his back and moved his lips without saying anything. The moment the cell door closed, he thought a little dejectedly, if only he hadn't been so impulsive that day. Now the only person he could rely on was Su Zimo, who was idle all day long. Zhang Hu walked outside and was taken to the backyard. In the past few days, every time it was time to eat, they would take Zhang Hu to the backyard to eat together. Seeing him coming, Lu Qin stood up quickly. Master Zhang, please come in. You're welcome, brothers. Zhang Hu said with a smile, I feel embarrassed to be treated with such good food and wine every day. Master Zhang, when you are here, just feel like you are at home. Lin Mu looked around and said softly, I think this Zheng guy won't be able to hold on for much longer, so why don't we have a trial today and see if we can get any valuable information from him, so that the master doesn't have to make another trip. Zhang Hu thought for a while. Okay, but I still need to ask the master for permission on this matter. At this moment, a chuckle came from above their heads. What do you need to ask me for permission? Shang Ruai jumped down from the tree.
Master.
The three of them stood up quickly and saluted.
What were you talking about just now?
My lord, we were just talking about the interrogation of Zheng Qi. Lu Qin said, That old man may not be able to hold on any longer. Shang Ruai nodded. Bring him out to see me.
Yes.
At night, everything was silent. Only the lights in the mountain's stronghold were bright. Zheng Qi watched as the blood-like people were dragged away from him one after another, and he was so scared that his whole body couldn't stop shaking. At this moment, an official walked to the cell opposite him and dragged away Zhang Hu, who was sleeping soundly. What are you going to do? Zhang Hu said in a trembling voice. Are you going to make a midnight snack? What midnight snack? The snow bandit sneered. Our boss has found a better cook, so there is no need for you to exist. Zhang Hu struggled hard for a few times, and the snow bandit impatiently gave him a knife, and Zhang Hu's eyes rolled back and he fainted. The two snow bandits dragged him away. When they passed by Zhengqi, he stopped them tremblingly. The two warriors, can I ask what happened? What else could it be? One snow bandit was about to say, but was stopped by another snow bandit. Why tell him that? How much can he, an old man, know? The things our village chief wants to ask are not known to everyone. Yeah, why waste time with him? He ignored him and continued to move forward. Zhengqi was shocked. Village chief? There is another village chief here? Wait, two warriors. He took out a silver note from his shoes and socks and handed it over. Two warriors, take it to buy some wine. Can you tell me what your village chief wants to ask? What if I know? The two took the silver note with some disgust. One of the snow bandits even took it to his nose and sniffed it. The smell went straight to the top of his head. But who would go against silver? They said impatiently. Okay, let me just tell you briefly. Our village chief was plotted against by that old man Shangyan, so he was seriously injured. Now, if you can provide information about the mistakes that old thief Shangyan made, it will be a great achievement. Shangyan? He didn't look as excited as before. The two snow bandits looked at each other, and one of them said, forget it. He is buried up to his neck in the dirt. What's the point of telling him these things? There will be a few more in the cell behind. Catch them and torture them severely. If you can't get any information, kill them all and go to the capital to catch them again. The two dragged Zhang Hu farther and farther away, and the sound gradually disappeared. Zhengqi sat in the cell, his face gloomy. At this moment, the two snow bandits came again, with blood on their bodies and hands. They wiped the blood off their hands with a white handkerchief and said with some disdain, it's really unlucky that we are covered in blood before dying. It doesn't matter, there are still a few here, and we can rest after we deal with them all. As soon as the voice fell, they threw the handkerchiefs to wipe the blood on the ground, right next to Zhengqi's cell. He looked at the blood-stained handkerchief and swallowed his saliva. Zhang Hu's blood-stained appearance appeared in front of him, as if he saw how Zhang Hu was killed. The last few were dragged out of the cell. When they were leaving, the two snow bandits saw him looking over here and said with a smile, don't worry, you're the next one. What? He was horrified and sat down on the ground, his mind blank. He recalled the conversation between the two people just now, the wrong things Shangyan had done over the years. The original concerns became worthless in the face of life and death. Just as the two snow bandits turned back, Zhengqi shouted, I want to see your village chief. I have something important to tell your village chief. What do you mean? The snow bandit said coldly, can you see our village chief just because you say so? I know all the wrong things Shangyan did. Doesn't your village chief need it? He shouted, I have something very important to tell your village chief. The two looked at each other for a while, then sighed, forget it. Since you said it's important, we'll give you this opportunity. But let's be frank, if you say something useless and make our village chief angry and blame us, don't blame us for being rude. I used to be a butcher. I promise that after I cut you into pieces, your heart will still be beating. His words made Zhengqi's heart beat wildly, and he quickly promised, your village chief will definitely be interested. Two snow bandits took him to the main hall, where a masked man was lying on the high platform, with Lin Mu and Lu Qin sitting on both sides of him. That must be the village chief. Village chief, this old man said he knew about Shangyan. Shang Ruo's eyes fell on Zhengqi and said lightly, how many times has this happened? She picked up the fruit in front of her and snorted coldly. I'm too lazy to listen. Just bury him alive. Zhengqi heard this and hurriedly said, No, village chief, I know, I really know. Everyone knows, but they bring up some trivial things. What do you think of me, the village chief? Shang Ruai sat up. Looking at her lazy attitude, she looks nothing like a lady from a noble family. She is just like a mountain king. If you can't say something important and fatal, there is no need to speak. Seeing her like this, Zhengqi hurriedly said, Shangyan has been enriching himself in recent years. accepting bribes during the imperial examination, and influencing court officials to accept their fate. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes and sneered. You want to use this incident to overthrow Shangyan? Do you think the emperor doesn't know what Shangyan has done? She waved her hand and said to the two snow bandits, Drag him away. The two snow bandits stepped forward and were about to take him away. Zheng Qi tried his best to push them away, as if he had made some kind of decision. Dingwa Palace. Shang Rui raised her eyebrows and finally said what she wanted to hear. The palace of the king of Ding? Shang Rui said coldly, What does it have to do with the palace of the king of Ding? It was Shang Nian who framed the palace of the king of Ding and used a fake letter to frame the palace of the king of Ding, which forced the palace of the king of Ding to be exiled. Is there any evidence? Zheng Qi was stunned when he heard this. Seeing that he didn't say anything, Shang Rui sneered. If Lord Zheng wants to live, he must show sincerity. Otherwise, what's the use of saying that Shang Nian has committed something without any evidence? Zheng Qi frowned slightly and said in a low voice, As for evidence, it's not that there is no evidence, but I am very curious about one thing. You say, since the village chief said he had a grudge against Shang Nian, why didn't he kill him directly but instead looked for evidence of his crime? Hee hee. Shang Rui chuckled, her eyes full of teasing. Lord Zheng has been in a high position for many years, and perhaps he has forgotten the hardships of life before he entered the officialdom. If you were asked to go back to that kind of life now, I wonder what Lord Zheng would do? Would he accept it calmly, or would he rather die than live? She straightened her body slightly, looked down at him on the high platform, and said slowly, Sometimes, death is the best relief. Only by living can you experience all the sufferings in this world. Zheng Qi felt a chill rushing to his head when he heard this. Seeing the coldness and impatience in her eyes, he hurriedly said, I have evidence, but I need to go back to the mansion in person to give it to you. Sir Zheng, why don't you understand? Shang Rui sneered. If you can't give me the answer I want today, your fate will be no different from that of others. Zheng Qi originally wanted to leave himself a way out, but now it seems that this way out will also be handed over. 5 years ago, the Dingwa Palace was ambushed at Qijing Pass, resulting in heavy casualties in the army. This was also the work of Shang Nian. Shang Rui was shocked. The tragedy of Qijing Pass that year was something that no one dared to mention. Corpses were floating all over the ground, blood flowed like a river, and the bloody smell in the air had not dissipated for a long time. This was also the work of Shang Nian?
Go on.
The murderous aura on Shang Rui made Lu Qin and Lin Mu around her look sideways. Shang Nian instructed the emperor to plant spies in the Dingwa Palace, who overheard the battle route and copied a wartime geomancy map. Shang Nian sold this to the Bailing royal family. Evidence. This happened a long time ago. Even if there is evidence, I don't know where it is. I only found out when I overheard the conversation between Shang Nian and the spy. However, I have evidence of the frame-up of the Dingwa Palace. It is hidden in a black box on the second shelf of the study in my palace. In the mezzanine, there is a note from Shang Nian to the spy. My grandson is naughty and likes slingshots. He accidentally shot down a bird with a note tied to its leg.
This is what was written on it.
How do you know it's from Shang Nian? I have been in the court for decades, and I know everyone's handwriting by heart. He looked up at her. Captain, can this matter save your life? Shang Rui heard this and said in a deep voice, I need evidence to tell whether what you said is true or not. She waved her hand, and the two snow bandits took him away. Master, I will send someone to his house to look for the note. Lu Qin stepped forward and said. Shang Rui shook her head. Her eyes fell on the door and said lightly, You don't need to do anything. As soon as the voice fell, He Jingheng's figure slowly appeared. Did you hear everything? He Jingheng nodded. His expression was cold, and his face was as heavy as water, but he was very calm. But the calmer he was, the more worried Shang Rui became. What do you want to do? He Jingheng's lips curled slightly. Killing someone means paying with your life, and owing a debt means paying it back. This has been natural since ancient times. His eyes fell on Shang Rui. Will you go out for a walk with me? The two came to a mountaintop. He Jingheng sat on a stone, looking at the starry sky, and said softly, "It was also a night like this that year. I followed my father to the battlefield. Halfway through the journey, we finally found a place to rest. We thought our whereabouts were extremely hidden, but we didn't expect that what was waiting for us there was a long-planned ambush. We were still asleep when the enemy attacked us. Of the 80,000 troops, less than 20,000 survived." Such a number frightened her. Looking at the scarlet color in his eyes, Zhang Ruoyi knew that both Xiang Mian and Emperor Tianshun would be doomed. "If I kill Xiang Mian, will you blame me?" After a while, He Jingheng suddenly asked. Zhang Ruoyi was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud. It turned out that this was the thing that really bothered him. "You killed him. Why should I blame you? Although he did not fulfill his responsibility to raise you, he is your father after all." Zhang Ruoyi lowered her eyebrows and smiled. "Who told you that he is my father?"
What?
"I am not very clear about the details, but there is one thing I know very well. My father is not Xiang Mian. My mother was taken in by the Wei family. She is not a girl from the Wei family, but a daughter of the Biling Li family. As for my biological father," Zhang Ruoyi whispered, "I am not sure if it is that person." The big stone in He Jingheng's heart finally fell to the ground. When he heard Jing Qi talk about what happened a few years ago, he wanted to go back to the capital immediately and skin Xiang Mian alive, but when he thought that he was Zhang Ruoyi's father, he was a little worried. Now that the words have been spoken, he has no scruples. "How do you plan to deal with Jing Qi? You can't take his life." Zhang Ruoyi sneered. "You can believe his words, but you can't believe them all. He has been an official in the court for decades and is very slippery. There must be some things he hasn't said clearly. He has a close relationship with Xiang Mian. Now he pushes all the things to Xiang Mian. It's possible that he is involved in this. Besides, we need witnesses to expose Xiang Mian, and he is the best witness. How do you make him surrender?" He Jingheng looked at her with a smile in his eyes. No one knew that every time at such a time, her whole body seemed to be glowing, so beautiful that people couldn't take their eyes off her. According to what he said, he has a grandson, and it seems that he values him very much. Although I don't like to use children as bargaining chips, at this point, the lives of so many people are involved, and I can't care too much. She took out a pill. This medicine does not harm the human body itself, but if it is driven by another drug, it can take a person's life instantly. If I use this as a threat, he will have to cooperate. But she did not give him the pill. She looked at the pill in her palm, and her heart was very entangled. He Jingheng smiled. "What are you hesitating about? His grandson is now 2 years older than you. Not to mention that he bullies men and women in the capital. He does all kinds of evil. If you poison him to death, you will be rid of harm for the people." Zhang Ruoyi was stunned for a moment when she heard the words, and handed him the pill without hesitation. "If it's not enough, I have more here." Looking at the smile on her face, He Jingheng couldn't help laughing out loud, rubbed her head, and his eyes were full of doting smiles. He held her in his arms and whispered, "Ruoyi, when everything is settled, how about we get married again?"
Why?
"I married you with that kind of mood back then, and I wronged you." His hand passed through her ink-like hair. "Let's start over." Zhang Ruoyi put her arm around his waist and nodded gently. A few days later, the secret guard sent by He Jingheng brought back the note that Jing Qi mentioned, and the content on it was shocking. He even calculated the time we can arrive at Qijing Pass clearly. Su Zimo looked at the last 4 words on the note and murmured, "Don't leave anyone alive."
Oh.
What a cruel heart. Su Zimo's voice was cold. "Ahung, what do you want to do?" Collaboration with the enemy and treason caused tens of thousands of soldiers to shed their blood on the battlefield, framed loyal officials, accepted bribes, and perverted the law, colluded with both internal and external forces. He Jingheng raised a bloodthirsty smile at the corner of his lips. "All people, as long as they are related to this matter, I will not let any of them go, and I will use their blood to pay tribute to the souls of all the soldiers in heaven." Su Zimo felt heavy in his heart, and suddenly thought of Zhang Ruoyi. He looked around. "Then what about your wife?" Speaking of her, the expression on He Jingheng's face finally eased a little, and his voice became softer. "She is her, and the Shang family is the Shang family. What does it matter?" At this moment, Zhang Ruai walked in with a plate of snacks.
Try it.
Zhang Ruai pinched a dessert for He Jingheng, and then heard Su Zimo laugh and said, "Princess, Aheng never eats these things. He never even touched the cakes in your shop before." Zhang Ruai looked at He Jingheng. "You don't like it?" She was embarrassed. She always thought that He Jingheng loved it. She would make it for him every day in the past few days, and he would eat it all. He Jingheng swallowed the cake into his mouth with her hand, looked at her slightly red ears, and chuckled and said, "Don't listen to his nonsense. I like the cakes you make the most." Su Zimo felt that his eyes were going blind. Did he have nothing to do and was looking for abuse here? The corners of his lips twitched slightly, and he took a bite of the cake fiercely. The next moment, his eyes widened. What is this? He had never eaten such a sweet and delicious cake. Zhang Ruai smiled and said, "This is called dafu."
What?
What's big? Just tell me if it tastes good or not. Before Su Zimo could answer, He Jingheng said, "It tastes good. Everything my wife makes taste good." Su Zimo rolled his eyes and wanted to turn around and leave. Forget it, since there were such delicious pastries, he would just bear with it reluctantly. At this time, Yunqi walked in and whispered, "Prince, the news that Lord Zheng was kidnapped by snow bandits has been reported back to the capital. The one sent this time is Su Yuan, Lord Su." Su Zimo hiccuped in shock. "They sent my uncle?" He turned to look at He Jingheng. "Aheng, that's my uncle. My uncle has never offended your Dingwa palace. Even when everyone kept silent, he risked defending the emperor and tried his best to make excuses for your Dingwa palace. You can't throw him into the snow bandits' nest." He Jingheng glanced at him, and seeing that he was about to speak, he took out a cake, threw it casually, and threw it straight into his mouth. "Shut up." Su Zimo swallowed the cake and looked at him eagerly. "I won't throw him in."
You don't have to look at me like that.
"It's disgusting." After He Jingheng finished speaking, he heard Su Zimo say, "Can you give me another piece of your cake?" The next moment, he was slapped out of the study by He Jingheng. The secret guards in the yard watched their noses and hearts, trying their best to hold back their laughter. Listen less and watch less. You should not laugh at the master's affairs, unless you can't help it. Yun Tian couldn't help it and said with a smile, "Mr. Su, why do you have to provoke our prince?" "Stingy, too stingy." He patted the dust off his body and pouted his lips. "It's just a piece of cake. What's wrong with giving me one? Are you crazy because of poverty in the Dingwa palace?" Zhang Ruai looked at He Jingheng and smiled. "What are you doing? If the cakes are gone, I will make more." Seeing the smile on her lips, He Jingheng's originally irritable heart gradually calmed down. "Su Yuan is Su Zimo's uncle?" He Jingheng nodded. Now he knew why the emperor agreed to let Su Zimo come. He knew that Zheng Qi had a grudge against the Dingwa palace, but he sent him here just to let himself vent his anger and then use Su Zimo to test him. If he dealt with Zheng Qi and let Su Zimo go, it would mean that he had some friendship with the Su family. Then he would send Su Yuan over. At this time, he was a little less angry, but because of the face of the Su family, he had to see Su Yuan. Since he brought the imperial edict, if he refused to see him, it would be disobeying the imperial edict. What a good plan. What a good plan. He Jingheng narrowed his eyes and said in a cold voice, "It seems that we have to vindicate the charge of treason before Su Yuan arrives here. All the breakthroughs still lie with Zheng Qi. Do you have any clues about the spy that Zheng Qi mentioned?" Zhang Ruai whispered. He Jingheng shook his head. "Many things that happened 5 years ago are difficult to verify. As for the spy, he can even grasp the marching route, which shows that his position in the army is extraordinary. The wartime geomancy map has been placed in the study of the palace. Apart from his father, he is the only one who can access it, who can copy a wartime geomancy map under their noses." When he thought of these things, he couldn't stop having a headache. He Jingheng rubbed his brows. At this moment, Yunqi's anxious voice came. "Prince, Crown Princess."
When?
Yunqi walked into the study with a dagger in his hand. "Prince, there is a letter on this dagger. When I chased him out, he had disappeared." He Jingheng unfolded the letter and said in a deep voice, "It's someone from Chiyu Villa. His eyes fell on the handle of the dagger, and he saw a very small red feather pattern on it. The owner of Chiyu Villa. He Jingheng whispered. He said, if you can catch him, all his kung fu would be wasted. Speaking of Chiyu Villa, Shang Rui just had something to ask him. Answer me truthfully, did you massacre the whole family back then? He Jingheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Our Dingwa Palace has been fighting for years, and we can't even go home, so why would we go and massacre their whole family? Really? I swear on the reputation of Dingwa Palace for 100 years. You should believe it now. He Jingheng was quite helpless. Every battle of Dingwa Palace is justified, and we will never kill innocent people. You said that even babies in swaddling clothes were not spared. Do you think this is my style of doing things? Shang Rui dispelled the last bit of doubt in her heart, picked up the pen, and said to He Jingheng beside her, what are you looking at? The pen and ink are ready. He Jingheng was stunned for a moment, then recovered, and smiled, and went to grind the ink stick. Yunqi, who was standing opposite, also turned around and left very skillfully, and then closed the door considerately. It would be better for their prince not to be seen by others while he was being humble. Shang Rui had just finished writing a reply, and suddenly remembered what Yingxue said. The token of the Dingwa Palace fell at the Ling family. If the token was real, did it mean that someone from the Dingwa Palace was really involved? Who went to the Ling family? The two looked at each other and instantly understood each other's thoughts. Perhaps this person was the spy hidden in the palace. On the second night, in the manor on the outskirts of the city, Ling Feng was making tea. He was the only one in the huge yard, and the fragrance of tea filled his nose. Since you're here, why are you still hiding in the dark? Shang Rui flew down. Ling Feng's eyes fell on her, and he smiled softly. I didn't expect you to really come. You threw the letter into the yard. Why wouldn't I come? She sat down on the chair. Ling Feng poured her a cup of tea. Shang Rui took a sip without blinking. It was warm, and the coldness in her body was instantly dispelled. Aren't you afraid that I will poison you? Haha, have you forgotten what I am best at? Shang Rui smiled. Besides, you and I have known each other for a while. I believe you will not do such a thing. Ling Feng chuckled. How do you know that I will not want to take revenge and kill people blinded by blood? Shang Rui looked at him and said slowly and firmly, because you are not sure whether your Ling family was wiped out by the Dingwa Palace, and the poison in shopkeeper Qian has not been cured yet. I didn't expect you to be right. The poison in shopkeeper Qian is not difficult to cure. She threw him a pill. Mix it with snow water and take it. Thank you. No need to thank me. Shang Rui smiled. I poisoned you, and no one can cure it except me. But if there is a next time, I will definitely not show mercy. You should know that I have at least dozens of poisons that can kill people instantly. Ling Feng raised his teacup and drank it all. Use tea instead of wine. Let me tell you about your Ling family. Ling Feng sighed when he mentioned this matter. It happened many years ago. The Ling family was once a prosperous family, almost monopolizing all the fabric industries in Jiangnan. I was young at that time, and I didn't know why my family suffered a disaster of extermination. I was away from home that day, and when I returned home, no one in the family survived. Not only people but also dogs were killed. At the scene, I found this. She took out a black token and put it on the table. I didn't dare to make it public, so Butler Qian took me to hide everywhere, for fear that people would find out that there were descendants of the Ling family living in this world. Shang Rui picked up the token, read it over and over again, and took out another identical one and put it together. The two tokens are exactly the same in style and material. If she guessed correctly, this must be the work of the spy. Seeing her heavy face, Ling Feng whispered, I didn't want to use you, but in order to avenge the Ling family, I had to do this. Shang Rui didn't look at him, but looked at the token in her hand in disbelief. How could this be possible? Noticing that her face was very ugly, Ling Feng frowned. What happened? How could it be him? What? Shang Rui retracted her gaze and suddenly remembered what He Jingheng said to her before she left. She hurriedly said, I have something else to do, I'll go first. Just as she was about to leave, she was grabbed by Ling Feng. Where are you going? Shang Ruai looked at him. Do you want to come with me? At this time at the He family, He Jinghun was discussing matters with He Ziyuan in the study. Uncle San, what on earth are you doing here, so late? He looked at the sky outside, a little anxious. I've been here for almost half an hour and you haven't said business yet. He Ziyuan said softly. Jinghun, where is Ruoi? She had something to do, so she went out. It's not safe for a girl to go out so late. Uncle San, I was going to go out with her. If you hadn't said you had something important to tell me, I would have gone with her. Hearing this, He Ziyuan smiled awkwardly. Uncle San, what's the matter? It's not a big deal. I just heard that Lord Jingqi was kidnapped by snow bandits. Uncle San had some friendship with him when he was an official in the court, so I wanted to ask if you can rescue him. He Jingheng's eyes flashed when he heard this. Uncle, why have I never heard you mention being on good terms with the Zheng family? He Ziyuan smiled and said a little embarrassedly, Isn't it because Zheng Qi once offended my eldest brother? How could I dare to publicize it? I see. He Jingheng nodded. But who did you hear Uncle San tell you about the abduction of Lord Zheng? I overheard the guard say that day. Oh, really? He Jingheng smiled. But didn't the guard say Lord Zheng was kidnapped? When did he say he was kidnapped by snow bandits? What? He Jingheng's eyes were cold. I don't know, where did third uncle hear that Lord Zheng was kidnapped by snow bandits?
Just said.
He was a little flustered. In this place of exile, only snow bandits would do such a thing. Really? At this moment, the door of the study was pushed open, and Shang Ruoi's figure appeared at the door, followed by Ling Feng. Did third uncle guess, or did he get the news from somewhere? He Ziyuan's eyes sank slightly. What do you mean by this? Only people in the court would say that Lord Zheng was kidnapped by snow bandits. Because the guards in the mansion knew that the snow bandits were her people would be tacitly regarded by them as their own people. Moreover, He Jinghun deliberately spread the news that Zheng Qi was abducted, just to see if the spies in the mansion would take any action. He originally wanted to fish, but he didn't expect to catch his uncle. I don't understand what you're talking about. He Ziyuan said coldly, If you don't want to talk, forget it. He stood up and turned to leave. Shang Ruai moved slightly and blocked the door. What are you doing? He looked at He Jingheng angrily. Jingheng, I am your elder after all. Your daughter-in-law is so rude to the elders, and you don't care. He Jingheng leaned back in the chair, raised the corners of his lips slightly. Third uncle, I suspected everyone in the mansion, but I didn't suspect you. He stood up, his eyes slightly cold. I never thought that this spy would be you. What spy? Jingheng, what are you talking about? After lurking in the palace for so many years, third uncle's acting skills must have been perfect. Third uncle. Shang Ruai took out the token and held it in front of him. Do you recognize what this is? The token of Dingwa Palace. He Ziyuan said in a deep voice. Why are you asking this? Where is third uncle's token? He Ziyuan snorted coldly. I didn't have time to take it out when the house was searched before. Really? Shang Ruai smiled. It's not that they didn't have time to take it during the house search, but it was lost a long time ago. He Ziyuan's pupils shrank slightly. What did you say? I said, third uncle's token was lost there when he went to exterminate the Ling family. She held the token in front of him. This is your token. You are talking nonsense. What Ling family? What extermination? Don't slander me. It seems that third uncle doesn't know the secret hidden in this token. What do you mean? Shang Ruai moved her fingers slightly, and there was a click sound. A tiny sign fell out of the token and fell at Ling Feng's feet. The small sign was clearly written with the 3 words He Ziyuan. At that moment, he didn't know how to describe his feelings. He Ziyuan looked at the small sign. His pupils trembled. How is this possible? Shang Ruai took out another token, which also contained a small sign with He Jingheng's name on it. I guess this little trick was hidden in it when the token was made, but none of you noticed it. When she got the token, she felt that there seemed to be a piece of space inside, so she used her ability of perspective to take a look. Unexpectedly, she saw the words on the small sign inside. She never expected that the uncle who couldn't carry anything in their eyes was actually a spy planted by Emperor Tianshun in the Dingwa Palace. He was also the culprit who wiped out the Ling family. Seeing that he couldn't deny it, He Ziyuan narrowed his eyes slightly, flashed a dagger in his hand, and stabbed at Shang Ruoi. Shang Ruoi sneered, drew out the dagger, and fought with him. He Jingheng frowned, flew forward, swung his palm, and slapped him directly on the back.
Puff.
A mouthful of blood spurted out, and He Ziyuan fell to the ground. At this moment, the sound of fighting attracted He Yuni. What happened? Miss, don't go over, Yunqi said in a low voice. At this moment, something unexpected happened. He Ziyuan threw a firebomb, and the blinding light made everyone unable to open their eyes.
Ah!
Only a scream was heard. A dagger was put on He Yuni's neck. The dagger was extremely sharp, and it left a blood mark just after it touched the skin on her neck. The bright red blood flowed. Third uncle, He Yuni said in disbelief. I am Yuni. Third uncle. Shut up. He Ziyuan's chest rose and fell violently. There was a trace of blood on the corner of his lips, and he said angrily, If you dare to come forward, I will kill her. Third uncle. Shut up. He Ziyuan shouted loudly. I told you to shut up, do you understand? He Yuni was already scared. How could her third uncle, who loved her on weekdays, become like this? Everyone came over after hearing the noise. The old princess was terrified and said tremblingly, Ziyuan, what are you doing? She is Yuni. What are you crazy about? Yuni, Qin said tremblingly. Yuni, how are you? Husband. Lin looked at him in shock. What's going on? He Jingshi protected Song and the child behind him and whispered, Dad, what happened?
Back.
Everyone back. He Ziyuan said angrily, No one should come forward, otherwise I will cut her neck with a knife. Lin was already crying at this time. Husband, are you crazy? What is going on? He Ziyuan looked at He Jingheng and sneered. Back then, when I did these things, I had already guessed that this day would come, but I didn't expect that this day would come so soon.
Why?
He Jingheng said coldly. You also have the blood of the Ding kingdom flowing in your body. Why do you do these things?
Ha!
He Ziyuan sneered. Yes, we are both of the Ding kingdom. Why can he, Yuan, inherit the throne, while I can only be a county prince without any power or status? I am also a legitimate son. Is it because he was born earlier than me? He looked at the old princess and said angrily, Mother, and you, your second brother, is not your biological son. Am I not either? Why can't I be the Ding king? The old princess burst into tears. No one. Listen to your mother and put the knife down. Put it down. He snorted coldly. Do you think I can turn back now? The dagger in his hand got closer to He Yuni's neck. Today, either you let me go, or let her be buried with me. He Jingheng said coldly. I won't let you go. 5 years ago, you copied the wartime geomancy map, causing tens of thousands of soldiers to be buried in Qijing Pass. I wonder if Uncle Sam was killed by those tragically dead soldiers when he dreamed at midnight. Everyone in the Dinghua Palace knew how tragic the Battle of Qijing Pass was. They had never thought that he would be the one who did it. So what? He shouted loudly. A general success is the result of the sacrifice of thousands of soldiers. I only regret that the battle did not take the lives of you and your son. Otherwise the throne would have been my turn. Crazy, you are really crazy. The old princess trembled and said, That was your brother. Jingheng is your nephew, and there were tens of thousands of soldiers. How could I give birth to a traitor like you who can't tell right from wrong? If you had let me inherit the throne, there wouldn't be so many right and wrong, and the Dinghua Palace would not have become a thorn in the emperor's eyes, and we wouldn't have ended up like this today. He sneered. Mother, do you know what it means to be more meritorious than the master? At this moment, Shang Ruai sneered. Don't make excuses for your greed. You want to inherit the throne, so you use everyone's life to pave the way for yourself. With your virtue, do you still want to become King Ding? Do you have the determination to wear golden armor in the yellow sand for 100 battles and never return until you reach Lulan? Do you have the belief that you only want to die for your country on the battlefield? Why should you return with your body wrapped in horsehide? Do you have the spirit of not going to the frontier to suffer, and even if you die, you will still smell the fragrance of chivalrous bones? You have none of them. You are basically a selfish, cowardly, but pleasure-seeking waste. You are obviously not as skilled as others, but you never look for your own reasons. You only know to complain that others are better than you. Shang Ruai's words were like a thorn, piercing his heart fiercely. You shut up. What? Are you angry because I said it? You. He Ziyuan's chest rose and fell violently, and suddenly, a mouthful of blood spurted out. At this moment, Shang Rui flipped her palm, and a silver needle flew towards him, knocking the dagger in his hand to the ground. At this moment, a white figure flew up and came to Hiyuni, holding her in his arms, taking her away from here and sending her behind Shang Rui. He Ziyuan was about to pick it up when he saw a yellow figure rushing over. The huge force made him faint directly. Yunqi and others stepped forward and lifted He Ziyuan up, and they couldn't help but admire Shang Rui even more in their hearts. As expected of the prince's wife, she actually made the third master spit blood in anger. Hiyuni was protected behind Shang Rui with a horrified face. It's okay, it's all over. After a while, she cried out, wow. Sister-in-law. It's okay. Qin walked up and held her in her arms, and the mother and daughter hugged each other and cried bitterly. Find someone to keep an eye on him for 12 hours without stopping, and don't let him die. He Jingheng said in a deep voice.
Yes.
Shang Rui snapped her fingers, and 2 tigers walked out of the dark. Anyone who wants to get close to him will be bitten to death. As soon as she finished speaking, the 2 tigers' eyes instantly changed from cute to fierce. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but take a step back. When they came to the main hall, He Jingheng told everyone the whole story, and they knew what had happened during this period of time. So, my father is actually the emperor's man? He Jingshi said in disbelief. How is it possible? If so, why would the emperor let him be exiled? It is precisely because he is the emperor's man that he was exiled. Shang Rui said in a deep voice. I believe you all know that it is said that there is a ring in the Dingwa Palace that can command thousands of troops and is the key to some treasure. Who doesn't want it? The emperor asked him to accompany him, which must be related to this ring. At the same time, he can monitor our every move, so why not? Hearing her say this, everyone was silent. Only Lin wiped her tears aside. Oh, what a sin. It's all a sin. The old princess sighed heavily. For such a throne, a good family is broken up. Hiyuni snuggled in Qin's arms, her eyes full of fear. She really couldn't imagine that the person closest to her would put a knife on her neck. If it weren't for her sister-in-law and Ling Feng today, the dagger might really stab into her neck. Thinking of this, her body couldn't stop shaking, and the wound that had just been bandaged by Shang Rui began to ache slightly. Until everyone dispersed, she hadn't recovered. Yuni, it's time to go back and rest. Qin touched her hair and said softly. Yuni shook her head. I won't leave. She cried and said, Mom, I'm scared. Don't be afraid. Mom will accompany you. Shang Rui watched the mother and daughter leave, and He Jingheng came to her side. It's getting late. You've been tossing for so long. Go back and rest. Yuni finally fell asleep, and Qin returned to her yard. As soon as Qin left, Hiyuni slowly opened her eyes and looked around, with fear in her eyes, as if someone would hold a knife to her neck in the next moment. At this moment, a voice appeared outside the window. When Hiyuni heard the voice, she walked over quickly. Hero, why are you here? Ling Feng, wearing a mask, said softly. It's okay. I just came to see you. You look a little bad, but what happened? Hiyuni was a little depressed when she heard this. I was almost killed by my uncle tonight. She shed tears. Why do people change? Ling Feng didn't say anything. Yes, why do they change? Why was their Ling family destroyed? Are you afraid? He asked in a low voice. Hiyuni burst into tears again. Everyone told her not to be afraid, but it was really difficult for her to overcome the fear in her heart. At this moment, a wooden knife appeared in his palm. This is for you. What is this? When I was young, something happened at home. I was also very scared and often couldn't sleep at night. At that time, I carved this knife myself and hung it on my body, and I felt less scared. Today I give this to you, hoping to help you drive away your fear. Thank you. It's getting late. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. He was about to leave when her arm was grabbed by her. Can you tell me your name? Ling Feng was stunned for a moment, then smiled. It's better not to leave your name if we meet by chance. After saying that, he flew away. Xiao Huang in the yard looked up at him, shook his tiger head, and continued to sleep in the yard. Yuni was lying on the bed, holding the knife tightly in her hand, but she was already afraid. At this moment, she heard a beautiful flute sound. The fear buried deep in her heart was slowly dispelled, and she finally fell asleep peacefully. Ling Feng stood on the top of the mountain and put away the flute in his hand. He looked deeply in the direction of the He family. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Shang Ruai's voice behind him. When are you going to tell her your identity? Ling Feng's eyes were slightly red and he whispered, Forget it, it's better not to know. Yuni is not a fool. I think she may have known your identity. Shang Rui thought of Yuni's eyes that were obviously stunned for a moment when she saw Ling Feng and said softly, You should know how Yuni feels about you. Ling Feng shook his head and he laughed at himself. I used to think she was the daughter of my enemy, so I wanted to get close to her, but every time I saw her clear eyes, I felt that I was really too much of a. Now that you already know that your family's hatred has nothing to do with her, why don't you tell her? Shang Rui looked at him. Sometimes if you miss it, it will be a lifetime. What's the point of living in hatred for all these years? It's better to live a free and easy life. What do you think? Live a free and easy life. Ling Feng murmured.
Yes.
She smiled. In life, the most difficult thing is to be free. Although the great revenge has not been taken yet, revenge is not the whole meaning of your life. Can't you marry and have children before revenge? It's you who seek revenge on others, not others who seek revenge on you. What are you worrying about here? Are you still worried about getting her into trouble? This is indeed what he is most worried about. Do you think anyone can bully my sister? Shang Rui raised a smile on her face. If you don't want to see Yuni sad, do you think anyone can be our son-in-law? Ling Feng heard this, did not speak, just looked in the direction of the He family. His eyes changed slightly. This night was destined to be a sleepless night for He Jingheng. He came to the dungeon and looked at He Ziyuan, who had woken up. His eyes were calm, but Yun Tai Nyunki, who was standing beside him, looked at the blue veins on the back of his hand and knew how turbulent his heart was at this time. Jingheng. He sat on the ground and smiled. No need to interrogate me. I won't say anything, just kill me.
Why?
He Jingheng suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, Just for a mere throne? A mere throne? He Ziyuan said angrily. Do you know how important the throne, which is the least valuable in your eyes, is to me? I can't get it in my entire life. My descendants, my children and grandchildren, will never be able to become princes. They can only be county princes forever.
Why?
Just because he Yuan, came into this world earlier than me? This is not fair. This was the first time he saw He Ziyuan hysterical. Why is it unfair? He Jingheng sneered. Do you know how much your father has sacrificed for the people of the world while being in this position? I went to the battlefield when I was young and started leading troops in battle when I was a teenager. The days in the barracks and on the battlefield have almost spanned the entire time of my life. He suppressed his anger. Have you all experienced these? Has your third uncle ever seen the scars on your father's body? Humph. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. It's up to you to say. My third uncle has watched me grow up. Why should I be such a blind man? He Jingheng sneered and said, My third uncle, do you still think that after the eldest branch of the family is killed in the future, your third branch can naturally take over the palace? He Ziyuan's pupils shrank slightly. This was the promise the emperor made to him. I advise you not to dream about this. Doesn't your uncle know the emperor's character at all? He is ruthless and cruel. He went through so much trouble to destroy the Ding Palace. How could he be willing to let it reappear in Tianshan? The Ding Palace is a thorn in his side, and he must get rid of it as soon as possible. If the Ding Palace is finished, everything related to it will be eradicated, including you. He Ziyuan sat on the ground with some exhaustion after hearing this. Yes. So from beginning to end, he was the only one who was a real idiot. Ha ha ha. He couldn't help laughing wildly. After a long while, he lay on his back on the ground, staring and muttering, "It's my fault. It's all my fault. I hurt you and my elder brother. However, there is a chance now. I can come back to life." What chance? Admit your crimes to the world, let the emperor write an edict of guilt, and redress the grievances of the Dingwa palace. He Jingheng took out a pen and paper. "Write everything down word by word. I will confront the emperor on the spot." Hearing this, He Jingshi stood up. "You can write, but I have a request." "What request?" "I want you to save my life." He Jingheng snorted coldly. He was really a cowardly person. He did not nod, a culprit who caused tens of thousands of soldiers to die before they could achieve their goals. What right did he have to live in this world? He Jingheng returned to the study, unfolded the letter, looked at the pages of paper. His eyes were full of scarlet. That night, the training ground in the backyard was brightly lit. Shang Ruai looked for a while and was about to leave. Yunqi said softly, "Princess, the prince is like this. Do you want to persuade him?" "No need." She shook her head. "He will go crazy if he has no outlet for his emotions. It's better to vent like now, and he will feel better after venting." She yawned. "It's almost dawn. You guys stay here. I'm going to sleep." Shang Ruai patted Xiaobai's head, and Xiaobai carried her on his back and walked into the yard. Yunqi looked at her back as she left, and wanted to give her a thumbs up. When can he raise a tiger like Xiaobai? Su Yuan was old, and the carriage was moving very slowly. 10 days passed in a blink of an eye, and he finally arrived at Xia village. At this time, Jing Qi had been released and was in the post house. Su Zimo watched him every day. Zheng Qi was already very thin, but it was not a matter of food. During the days when he was captured, the food was a little worse at first to scare him. Since he provided clues, Lu Qin and his men had the cooks cook all kinds of food all day long, causing Zheng Qi to think that this was his last meal every time. He wanted to eat but couldn't eat it all. The first thing he did when he came back was to send people to take down the snow bandits' lair. Who knew that when the officers and soldiers arrived at the mountain stronghold, there was no one, not even a fly. Zheng Qi was furious when he heard the news and almost fainted. "Go and investigate for me. Even if you have to dig 3 feet deep into the ground, you must catch this mob." "Sir Zheng." Su Zimo stepped forward and said with concern, "Sir Zheng, what happened?"
Wow.
"How come you have become so thin after just a few days of not seeing you?" Zheng Qi heard this, and if he hadn't been exhausted, he would have slapped him hard in the face. "How dare you ask?" Zheng Qi said angrily. "We haven't been back for so many days, and you didn't even ask or look for us. How should I know what you did? You didn't leave a single word. I wanted to contact you, but who should I tell?" Zheng Qi waved his sleeves and said angrily, "Don't quibble, you boy. When we return to Beijing, I will tell your father, Marquis Jianan, about your great achievements." At this time, his subordinates came to report, "Sir, the Lord Su sent by the Emperor has arrived." Zheng Qi glared at Su Zimo and walked straight out. Su Yuan was an extremely upright person and always looked down on Jing Qi, a sinister villain. Therefore, when Jing Qi met him outside the post house, he just nodded lightly and walked to Su Zimo. "What have you been doing all this time?" "Uncle." Su Zimo was as arrogant as he was in front of Zheng Qi before, and he was as humble as he was now. "Uncle, how about we go in first?" Su Yuan glared at him and walked straight into the inn. Zheng Qi was left there by him, his face turned purple. This Zheng Yuan, how dare he disrespect him? He embarrassed him in front of so many people. This grudge he will definitely avenge. "I heard that you haven't even met He Jingheng yet." Su Yuan sat on the chair and said lightly, "Time is running out. I will go to see him directly today." How dare Su Zimo say no? He could only nod in agreement. Zheng Qi rolled his eyes when he heard it. How can it be so easy to enter the village? He went there many times, but was blocked by the tiger. Why did the tiger disappear when Su Yuan came? When they arrived at the entrance of the village, the tiger was still there. Zhang Qi looked at him with a gloating look. Master Su, can you try to go? Su Zimo looked at the two tigers and felt a little guilty. Sure enough, the two tigers stood up from the ground when they saw Zhang Qi and Su Zimo, showing their sharp fangs and fierce eyes. Zhang Qi stepped back and swallowed his saliva. Well, I'd better not go over there. Su Yuan muttered in his heart and hesitated to step forward. When the two tigers saw him, their originally fierce looks were retracted. Under the horrified gaze of the crowd, they sniffed him, and their fierceness instantly retreated. They walked back a few steps and lay back in their positions. Everyone was surprised. What was going on? The two tigers were about to attack and hurt people, but why did they behave so well when they saw Master Su? Su Yuan's eyes flashed. It seemed that they smelled the smell he had applied on his body. Halfway through the journey that day, a guard beside He Jingheng came to him and gave him a porcelain bottle. The guard said that if he poured the potion in the porcelain bottle on himself, he could enter the village. At first, he was a little confused, but now he understood that the potion was for the tigers at the door to smell. Zhang Qi's face turned pale. Are these two tigers bullying people? Why would he be bitten when he came? Let's go. Su Yuan looked at Zhang Qi. Sir Zheng, let's go together. He pointed at the tigers on both sides. How can it be as difficult to enter as Sir Zheng said? This is the first time I have come here, and the first time I have seen these tigers. They are not as violent as you said. Zhang Qi's face trembled, and under the protection of the officials, he slowly passed through the village entrance. One of the tigers looked at Zhang Qi and suddenly growled, which scared Zhang Qi to death. Roar. For some reason, people actually saw gloating on its face. A tiger can actually have such a bad intention? Su Zimo was walking at the end. When it was his turn to pass, the two tigers stood up instantly and rushed towards him without saying anything. Again, he hurriedly used his qinggong to dodge everywhere. He didn't want to be embarrassed like last time. At this moment, a crisp sound came, like a bird's cry. The two tigers stopped moving instantly, glared at Su Zimo, and returned to their positions to lie down. Su Zimo panted, wiped the sweat from his head, and walked to Su Yuan. Su Yuan glanced at him and walked straight inside. Walking from the entrance to the inside of the village, they couldn't help but be stunned when they saw the scene of Xia village. Is this still the barren land it used to be? The people who thought they were living in poverty and starving people everywhere did not exist at all. It was time to cook dinner. There was steam coming out of the chimneys of every household, and the aroma of rice could be smelled. There was even the smell of meat coming out of the chimneys of some households. Zhang Qi had never been to the village before and didn't know what it would be like. He murmured, "Is this Xia village? The place of exile?" Su Yuan's eyes deepened. This place was actually better than the villages around the capital. He had passed by so many places along the way, but this place was the most peaceful. After walking for a while, a building that was no less than a royal palace appeared in front of everyone. When they walked to the main gate, the two big characters He mansion appeared in front of everyone. At this time, Yunqi stepped forward. "Master Su, our master has been waiting for you for a long time." Su Yuan nodded. "Lead the way." Just as everyone was about to follow him in, they heard Yunqi whispered, "My master is not feeling well today and will not see any outsiders. Please wait in the side hall." Side hall? You actually asked me to go to the side hall? Zhang Qi said angrily. I am the second-rank Zhong Shuling. How dare He Jingheng ask me to go to the side hall? As soon as the voice fell, a crisp female voice came out. Xiaobai, take Master Zheng to the side hall and wait. Humph. No matter who comes, you can't ask me to go to the side. Before he finished speaking, a huge white figure appeared in front of him. Xiaobai drooped his tiger face and looked at him fiercely. Why is there a white tiger here? Zhang Qi swallowed his saliva and hid behind the guards. He looked at Yunqi tremblingly. Where's the film stopping? Why don't you take me over there quickly? Yunqi suppressed a smile. Please come in, Sir Zheng. Zhang Qi collapsed on the ground before he could move a step. In the end, several guards carried him in. Su Yuan came to the main hall and looked at the familiar display. He couldn't help but smile. This old minister greets the prince. He Jingheng stood up and returned the greeting. Sir Su, please sit down. Su Yuan's eyes fell on the woman next to him. Is this the crown prince's consort? Junior greets Lord Su. I didn't expect that old man Shang Nian could give birth to a daughter like you. Su Yuan recognized Shang Ruoyi as the one who had just commanded the White Tiger. He looked at He Jingheng and said, when he exchanged a concubine for a legitimate wife, I, an old minister, advised him to do so. Fortunately, it was rejected, otherwise who knows what would have happened. Shang Ruoyi smiled and said nothing. The old man Shang Nian could not give birth to a daughter like her. Lord Su, did you bring the imperial edict with you today? That's right. He whispered, the emperor has issued a death order to me, and I must bring everyone from the Dingwa Palace back to the capital this time.
He.
He Jingheng sneered. The palace has been abolished, so where is the Dingwang Palace?
Prince.
Su Yuan sighed. I know you have resentment in your heart, but you have to think about future generations. Do you want them to bear the reputation of being the descendants of criminals for the rest of their lives? His eyes fell on Shang Ruoyi. What do you think, princess? Shang Ruoyi smiled. Of course I can go back to Beijing, but it depends on how I go back to Beijing. What do you mean, princess? Shang Ruoyi waved her hand, and Yun Tian walked to Su Yuan with a tray. This is. Lord Su will know it at a glance. Su Yuan took a few sheets of paper on the tray in his hand, and looked at the contents on them, his eyes becoming more and more solemn. At the end, his hands couldn't help shaking. At Qijing Pass, 67,000 soldiers died. He ordered his subordinates to exterminate the Ling family. He colluded with Shang Nian to frame loyal officials. He read out the words word by word. Every word was tearful. Is it true? He Jingheng nodded. At first, I was also very shocked. I asked myself countless times if I had done anything wrong to offend His Majesty. But now I think it's just that our Dingwa Palace has made greater achievements than the Emperor, and the Emperor is afraid of it. Su Yuan closed his eyes and did not speak for a long time. If you want us to return to Beijing, there is only one way to go. What way? The Edict of Guilt. He Jingheng looked firm and said in a cold voice, unless he issues the Edict of Guilt, I will announce everything he has done to the world. At that time, if the country is shaken, it will not be the business of our Dingwa Palace. Hearing this, Su Yuan just sighed, and Shang Ruoyi looked at him with a calm face. No matter who it is, it would be difficult for them to accept that the emperor they have always trusted and the monarch they thought was wise was actually a villain who believed in the slander of treacherous villains and framed loyal and honest people. That's all. He stood up, turned around, and walked out. His figure seemed a little hunched, and he looked a little more decadent than when he came. I will draft a letter and have someone send it back to the capital city in an emergency for 800 miles. Zheng Qi and others didn't expect to go back so soon. He walked to Su Yuan. Has He Jingheng received the order? Su Yuan looked at him, thinking about the contents of the letters, one of which was written by Zheng Qi himself. He couldn't help but get angry and said loudly, Someone, tie up Zheng Qi for me. Take him back to the post station and keep him under strict guard. Zheng Qi was shocked when he heard this. Su, you dare to lock me up. Do you know who I am? I am the second-rank Zheng Shuling, on the same level as you. What right do you have to detain me? Zheng Shuling? Second rank? Su Yuan sneered. This official thinks that you have reached the end of your career as the second-rank minister of the Central Secretariat. For all the things you have done over the years, not to mention being dismissed, I am afraid that all your 9 clans will be in trouble. Zheng Qi was shocked and no longer as arrogant as before. His voice trembled a little. You know everything? Su Yuan was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. With a wave of his hand, several guards came forward and tied him up. Zheng Qi dared not say a word. Su Zimo watched his uncle with thunderous means from the side and could not help but feel secretly happy. His uncle was busy dealing with these things and did not have the energy to scold him. Su Zimo, Su Yuan said in a deep voice. We are both young people. Look at He Jingheng, and then look at yourself. You always act like a good-for-nothing. If you could make your father less worried, he would not complain to me all day long. Su Zimo was dizzy from his reading, but he did not dare to refute it all. 3 days later, an urgent letter of 800 miles was delivered to the imperial study. Soon after, the sound of porcelain breaking in the imperial study was heard. In the past few days, even the morning court was put on hold. He Lingsheng and He Lingqi asked for an audience in turn but were turned away. No one knew what had happened. Emperor Tianshun sat in front of the table, looking at the testimonies with bloodshot eyes. Every single one of them was done by him. But where did he go wrong? Since he was still the crown prince, his father had warned him that he should not let anyone threaten his position. The Dinghua Palace was more meritorious than the master, so what was wrong with punishing him? Late at night, he walked outside the palace, where there was a big tree. He squatted on the ground, and at this moment, a dead branch fell down. The behind him was about to pick up the dead branch, and heard him say, "Bring it here."
Yes.
He took the dead branch and squatted on the ground and dug. Soon, a red box showed its lid. He dug faster and faster, and after a while, he dug out the box intact. He opened the box and found several jars of wine inside. Without asking anyone else to help him, he took the wine back to the study and closed the door again. Zhang was so anxious that he jumped at the door. After a while, he ordered the to-go to Fengyi Palace to invite the queen. Emperor Tianshun opened the jar of wine, and the clear aroma of wine filled his nose. He was drunk before he drank it. At the beginning, I buried this with you. That was when he had just inherited the throne. In order to express his deep brotherly love, he hid the wine under this tree with Hiyuan. They grew up together since childhood. Although they were not brothers, they were better than brothers. I didn't expect that the two of them would go to the point of facing each other with swords. He held the jar of wine, took a big sip, wiped the wine from his mouth with his sleeve, and looked at the shiny fabric on his wrist. Yes, there is a difference between the monarch and the minister. From the beginning, I shouldn't have become a brother with anyone. I am lonely on this peak. At this moment, the alcohol gradually took effect, and he was a little confused. In his hazy consciousness, a familiar figure slowly appeared in front of him. Yuan. After he finished speaking, he laughed softly. I didn't expect to see you. I thought I could see the fairies in the sky when I was drunk, but I didn't expect it to be you. Your Majesty is drunk.
Yes. Drunk.
He smiled. The last time I was drunk, it seemed to be before I ascended the throne. You told me that no matter what, you would never betray me. Dinghua Palace will always be a sharp sword for me. Hiyuan said nothing, but just listened to him quietly. But you didn't do it. You broke your promise. Emperor Tianshun's eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth and said, I trusted you so much, but you betrayed me. You even set your sights on my throne. Don't you deserve to die? I have never coveted the throne, and neither has the Dinghua Palace. Hiyuan whispered, if the Dinghua Palace wanted to rebel, the world would have changed hands long ago. How could it be your turn to sit on the throne? Nonsense. You clearly want to replace me. The soldiers of the court recognize you, but not me. I clearly asked you to return to the court, but you told me that you would not obey the orders of the troops outside. What else is this if not treason? Hiyuan sighed, sat on the ground, opened another jar of wine, and took a big gulp. If I wanted to rebel, you would have died in my hands if I had so many opportunities. I would not have charged into battle to help you defend this country, and almost lost my life. Hiyuan. Emperor Tianshun looked at the still, hazy figure in front of him and murmured, I was wrong. Hiyuan's mind moved, and when he looked in his direction, he found that he was already lying on the ground and asleep. He shook his head helplessly. After so many years, why is he still like this? Hiyuan placed him on the low couch next to him and turned to leave. After a while, Emperor Tianshun, who was lying on the couch, slowly opened his eyes. How could his clear eyes be drunken? Hiyuan, you are still alive, you are still alive. When the Empress came to the imperial study, Emperor Tianshun was already fast asleep. She ordered the palace servants to clean up the wine jars on the ground. At this moment, Emperor Tianshun woke up slowly. Empress. Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. What's wrong with you recently? The news that you have stopped attending court has reached me. It's my fault that you've made the Empress worry. I've made you worry before you've even finished your confinement. Emperor Tianshun looked apologetic. I'm fine. Empress, you should go back and have a rest. Ever since the incident with the poisonous insect, Emperor Tianshun didn't want to get close to her. Whenever he saw her, the scene of the poisonous insect being taken out of her body flashed in his mind, and he felt extremely disgusted. The Empress knew what he was thinking, so she bowed and returned to Fingy Palace. Your Highness, the nanny whispered. Your Highness, the Emperor doesn't care about you as much as before. Humph, so what? The Queen sneered. Do you think I care about you? She looked at the baby in the cradle and said with a smile, I only need the princess. As for others, they are not important. Your Highness, you don't have a legitimate son. If the emperor dies one day and the prince succeeds to the throne, according to concubine Zhao's character, she will want to get rid of you as soon as possible. What should I do then? Don't worry, it's not the day when everyone will die. Even if that happens, I will naturally have a way. No one can think of hurting her child. No one can. 2 days later, He Jingheng did not wait for the emperor's confession, but instead waited for a letter from his father. He Jingheng looked at the letter with a frown. What's wrong? Shang Ruai asked in a low voice when she saw him like this. Father, he went to see the emperor.
So what?
He Jingheng handed the letter to her directly. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing after reading the content above. No wonder father didn't have the intention of rebellion. What do you mean? What else could it mean? Prince Dinghua is definitely a first-class player in leading troops to fight, but when it comes to playing tricks, I'm afraid that even if he puts several heads together, he is no match for Emperor Tianshun. Father, considering the face of the royal family, doesn't want to pursue it too much, so he asked us to accept the imperial edict brought by Lord Su and return to the capital. He Jingheng's voice was low, full of anger and unwillingness. Shang Ruai smiled when she heard it. Father is thinking about this. What about you? What do you think? The Edict of Repentance. If I don't see the Edict of Repentance, I will never return to the capital. Shang Ruai's lips curled slightly. When a general is away from the army, he is not subject to military orders. You should also learn more from father. Shang Ruai's words made him laugh out loud. I think the same as you do. Shang Ruai said seriously. If we go back like this, the Dinghua Palace will still not be able to get rid of the crime of treason. Since he forced this hat on our heads, let him take it back as he put it. At night, figures shuttled through the jungle like ghosts. At the other end of the forest, a woman was lying on a white tiger with Yun Tian standing behind her. Just then, a figure rushed out of the forest and flew towards her, and Shang Ruai suddenly opened her eyes. Your subordinate Yunshi greets the Crown Prince's consort. Your subordinate Bai Zhou greets the Crown Prince's consort. Your subordinate Zhou Yu greets the Crown Prince's consort. Your subordinate Yi Su greets the Crown Prince's consort. Only 100 Iron Feather Guards really passed this assessment. Not bad. Shang Ruai said with a smile. Looking at your body skills, you have gained a lot during this period. Thank you for your guidance. The voices of 100 people resounded through the mountains and forests. Shang Ruai looked at them and whispered, From now on, you are no longer the secret guards of the Dinghua Palace, nor the Iron Feather Guards. Crown Princess, what are we then?
Suzaku. What?
Suzaku is an ancient mythical beast that can both stabilize the 4 directions and drive away evil spirits. I want you to be like the Suzaku mythical beast and become a sharp blade to pacify the 4 seas. Can you do it? Follow the orders of the Crown Princess. Follow the orders of the Crown Princess. In order to test your results, I will now assign you your first task. Shang Ruai said coldly, You 100 people divide into 4 teams and go to the capital to get a few things without disturbing others. A few days later, news of theft spread in the palace. Emperor Tianshun looked at the note in his hand and almost fainted with anger. He Yuan, He Jingheng, I'm going to kill you.
Kill you.
He looked at the empty place where the jade seal was originally placed, and his heart tightened. He hurried forward and saw that the black box next to the jade seal was still there and the tiger talisman inside was still there. His hanging heart finally slowly let go. Picking up the box, he frowned. The weight was wrong. He hurriedly took out the tiger talisman, only to see that only half of the tiger talisman was left. Emperor Tianshun couldn't help but tremble all over. He took away the jade seal and half of the tiger talisman. What were they going to do in the Dingwa Palace? Were they going to become emperors? Your Majesty. Concubine Zhao walked in with a bulging belly. What's wrong with you? At this time, Emperor Tianxuan's face was ashen, and he said in a cold voice, Get out. Get out of here. Concubine Zhao was shocked. She had been in the palace for so long, and the emperor had never treated her like this. What on earth was going on? But even if she had thousands of doubts and grievances in her heart, she could only obey. When she walked out of the palace, Concubine Zhao looked back fiercely, turned around, and walked away quickly. Shang Ruai looked at the jade seal and half of the tiger talisman that Zhu Ke brought back, her eyes full of smiles. He Jingheng smiled. If you do this, the emperor will probably go crazy. What's the big deal if he goes crazy? You guys are just too honest. Why should you listen to everything he says? We are both human beings, so why is he noble? Isn't he just a mortal? He Jingheng looked at her and felt that what she said made a lot of sense. So, you founded Zhu Ke just to do these things? What's the difference between this and the secret guards? More than that. Shang Ruai shook her head. There are many things they can do, such as collecting intelligence, assassinating, interrogating, rescuing, lurking, disguising. No matter what kind of battle they can complete, no matter what identity they play, they can do it. Even if they are dressed as women, it is not impossible. Yun Tian, who was standing behind her, was stunned when he heard this. How is this possible? If a person knows so much, it can be said that he can do everything. You don't believe it? Shang Ruai smiled, her eyes wanton. How about a competition? She snapped her fingers, and there was silence all around. Yun Tian couldn't help but laugh and said, Princess, the secret guards in our manor are the most powerful among all the secret guards in the palace, far from being comparable to those drunkards in the palace. I'm afraid your Suzaka can't break in. Really? Shang Ruai looked at him with a teasing look in her eyes. Yun Tian was about to speak when a dagger with a cold glow was placed on his neck. He was startled, and the hair on his body stood up. He Jingheng's eyes were deep. He walked out of the room and looked around. He was even more horrified. Come out. The next moment, more than a dozen figures were kicked down from the tree. Their acupuncture points were sealed at this time, and they couldn't use any internal strength. Bai Zhou and a dozen people fell from the tree. He Jingheng looked at their body movements. They jumped down from such a high tree without making any sound. The few people lying on the ground stared at Bai Zhou and the others. Where did these wicked things come from? Not to mention that there was no sound at all, they couldn't even feel their breath. They were kicked down with their acupuncture points sealed before they could react. They lost face completely. I failed to protect you well. Please punish me, Your Highness. A secret guard said unwillingly, Your Highness, they attacked us. Where did these wicked things come from? Not to mention that there was no sound at all, they couldn't even feel their breath. They were kicked down with their acupuncture points sealed before they could react. They lost face completely. I failed to protect you well. Do you understand the meaning of the word sneak attack? The secret guard was speechless when he heard that. Yun Tian also pouted unconvincingly. My Highness's wife. I don't accept it. Don't accept it? Yunqi heard the words, put away the dagger, and kicked him out. I will beat you until you accept it. After this period of special training, they have been in awe of Shang Ruai. It is no exaggeration to say that Shang Ruai's status in their hearts is higher than He Jingheng. Come and fight if you don't accept it. You are no match for them. He Jingheng said in a low voice. Hearing the prince say this, they had no choice but to lower their heads in resignation. This concealment technique, even I am not completely sure I can do it. How did you teach them in such a short time? Experience life and death. Shang Ruai said it lightly, but these 4 words hit their hearts like a heavy. There are traps everywhere in the valley, and basically every trap is fatal. The valley is full of poisonous grasses and insects, and occasionally there will be miasma at night, and occasionally there are formations that need to be cracked, and maybe there will be ferocious beasts. The ferocious beasts I'm talking about are not the little white ones that can only scare people, but the real wild and untamed lions, tigers, and pythons. If you want to survive, there is no other way except to fight desperately. With every word Zhang Ruoyi said, the faces of those secret guards turned paler. Only by truly experiencing life and death can you know how to subdue the enemy in the shortest possible time and at the fastest speed. She looked at Yunqi, Bai Zhou, and others. You did a great job. Thank you for the compliment, princess. He Jingheng's pupils shrank when he saw the excitement of those people. To be able to make these arrogant guys so submissive, she, the princess, was really extraordinary. At this moment, Yuntian's voice came again. Yunqi, you are a treacherous, selfish, and disloyal dog. You went to special training by yourself, but didn't even call me. Yunqi glanced at him. It's you who doesn't want to endure hardship.
Me.
Zhang Ruoyi smiled. You have worked this trip. Go back and rest early. She pointed to the box on the table. There are 100 pills in it, one for each person. Thank you, princess. Several people hugged the box and left happily. The secret guards who were still on the ground and whose acupoints had not been unblocked wanted to rush up and fight them, showing off. He Jingheng turned and walked into the room. Those secret guards were still anxious because their acupoints had not been unblocked yet. At this moment, several purple round beads fell on them, and the originally blocked meridians were instantly opened. Not only that, they felt that the internal force in their bodies flowed faster. Thank you, princess. Knowing that it was her who did it, they quickly knelt on one knee to express their gratitude.
Huh.
What is this? A secret guard looked at the purple bead on the ground. The princess had just used this to unblock their acupuncture points. This is... A secret guard exclaimed, this is a purple oriental pearl.
What? Purple oriental pearl.
Purple oriental pearls worth hundreds of thousands of taels each? They quickly picked up the beads on the ground. After looking at them, they were surprised to find that this was the priceless purple oriental pearl. How much wealth did their princess have? Such expensive oriental pearls, she casually gave away more than a dozen. Was it like candy beans? He Jingheng returned to the room with a smile on his face. I didn't expect my wife to be so powerful. It's just a trifle. If it can be used in the army, the entire army will be improved a lot. Zhang Ruoyi shook her head. Such special training is originally prepared for a very small number of elites. If you want to use it on a large scale, it is impossible. He Jingheng nodded in agreement. But I can design some equipment for training in the military camp. Really? Of course it's true. At this moment, a secret guard stepped forward. Prince, the prince is here. As the secret guard finished speaking, He Yuan walked in, his voice full of anger. Smelly boy, you dare to send people to steal the jade seal and the tiger talisman. Are you tired of living? Your son greets your father. Your daughter-in-law greets your father. Zhang Ruoyi stood up and saluted him with He Jingheng. He Yuan waved his hand and said, you two don't need to bother with this useless thing. He Jingheng, I'm not dead yet. How dare you do such a treasonous thing? He couldn't sleep at night these few days. He kept recalling the things of the past. Thinking that the emperor admitted his mistakes in front of him, he felt very sad. I told you to just accept the imperial edict directly. Why didn't you listen? Why did you order people to steal the jade seal and the tiger talisman? That is a crime punishable by the death of 9 generations of the clan. Treason. It's simply treason. Father, it was my daughter-in-law who ordered someone to get the jade seal and tiger talisman. Zhang Ruoyi whispered. You ordered? Prince Ding blinked, then laughed. You don't have to bear this crime for protecting this stinky boy. How can a girl like you order the secret guards of Prince Ding's palace? It must be him. He pointed at He Jingheng and shouted, don't think that you have become powerful now that you married the crown prince's wife. Send the things back quickly, or I will beat you to death today. Seeing that he didn't believe it, Zhang Ruoyi had no choice but to make a gesture to Yunqi. Yunqi didn't have any hesitation in his eyes, and he directly placed an unsheathed dagger in front of Prince Ding. He wanted to curse at first, but the words were taken back in an instant. He stared at Yunqi. Are you crazy? You don't even recognize me? He just wants to tell your highness that I can command the secret guards in this mansion. Seeing this, Prince Ding gritted his teeth and said angrily, I know. Get out. After he finished speaking, Yunqi did not move at all, and the dagger in his hand did not move at all. He did not withdraw the dagger until Shang Ruai nodded. Your highness, I'm sorry. You son of a, I'll chop you off.
Father.
Shang Ruai stepped forward and whispered, Father, Yunqi is my secret guard. You can't touch him. He Yuan was so angry that his beard was about to fly up. He stared at He Jingheng and said, Your own wife. You don't care about it? He Jingheng couldn't help but smile when he heard it. My son is no match for her now, so naturally I can't do anything about it.
What?
He Yuan looked at Shang Ruai in surprise. You can't beat her with her thin arms and legs? He Jingheng shrugged. Last time in the training ground, I lost to her 3,000 iron feather guards. He Yuan finally took his daughter-in-law seriously. He sat on the chair and said in a deep voice, You just said that you asked the secret guards to get the jade seal and the tiger talisman back? Shang Ruai nodded. It was my daughter-in-law.
Why?
Just for that confession of guilt? Just for this confession of guilt? Shang Ruai sneered. Why would your highness use the word just? Shang Ruai didn't even call him father, but called him your highness directly. He Yuan frowned. Foolish loyalty. How outrageous. He Yuan said angrily. Don't think that you can be so rude just because you saved my life. Yes, you are still dignified when facing your savior, but you are so soft-hearted when treating the person you have saved countless times and protected with your life. He Yuan was stunned for a moment. Just because he is the emperor, he is treated differently from others? Shang Ruai's face was cold. If he was a wise monarch, it would be another matter if the people lived and worked in peace and contentment. But what is the reality? Tens of thousands of soldiers died in Qijing Pass because of his suspicion and frame-up. Has your highness ever thought about their families behind them? Could your highness empathize with their pain? He trusted villains and treacherous people, killed loyal and virtuous ministers, and exiled the Dingwa Palace. In order to concentrate all the power in his own hands, he killed the generals who were originally under the palace, resulting in the loss of the border and the displacement of the people. Can your highness turn a blind eye to all this? She stood there, her eyes full of coldness. Your highness, is the Dingwa Palace a safe haven for the people of Tianshan, or a protective umbrella for that incompetent monarch? Her rapid-fire words stunned He Yuan. After a while, he turned to He Jingheng and said, Did you marry a wife or a censor of the court? How can you be so talkative? He Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard it. Father, you'd better not let her hold any handle in your hand. I think she is even more powerful than the censor. He Yuan looked at her and whispered, Do you know what a confession of guilt means? Admit your mistakes. Shang Ruai sneered. The emperor is guilty of the same crime as the common people. Why can't he take a good look at himself when judging others? Ordinary people must pay with their lives for killing one person, but what about him? How many people did he kill? According to the law, what punishment is better? Is it torn apart by a chariot? Or burning with fire, or lingqi? Or the extermination of 9 clans? Shang Ruai's words made He Yuan stand up directly from the chair. His mouth moved for a while, and he pointed at her and said, Child, why do you want to exterminate 9 clans? Did you know that we are also among the 9 clans? Shang Ruai knew he had compromised when she saw him like this. Prince, no one is perfect. It is the greatest virtue to correct one's mistakes. Just let him issue an edict of repentance to comfort the souls of those who died tragically and restore the reputation of the Prince Ding's palace. He has already gotten a bargain without cutting his own flesh. He Yuan sighed. I really don't know how Shang Nian could raise such a righteous daughter like you. What does it have to do with him? Shang Ruai rolled her eyes. With his character, he can't give birth to anything good.
Puff.
He Yuan couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of tea. His daughter-in-law really dared to say anything. What are you going to do next? Let's talk about it after he issues an edict of repentance. At this time, in the imperial study, Emperor Tianshun had smashed everything that could be smashed. Rebellion. Rebellion. How dare he come to the palace to steal things? It's really a rebellion. Your Majesty, please calm down. The concubine Shu is here. Get out. All of you get out. As soon as he finished speaking, the concubine Shu walked in. You all go down first, the concubine Shu said in a low voice. After everyone left, concubine Shu walked to the emperor. I pay my respects to His Majesty. Didn't I ask you to leave? I haven't seen Your Majesty for a long time, and I heard that you were not feeling well today, so I personally made chicken soup before dawn. Would you like to try it? He was in no mood to drink chicken soup, so he glanced at the soup and said no. I remember you told me a few years ago that the late emperor made several Western tours to appease the people and lived and ate with the people. This was ridiculed by emperors of other countries for a long time, and they thought that the late emperor's actions were unworthy of the emperor. But in the end, among all the countries, only Tianshun became the leader. The country was rich, and the people were strong, and the people lived and worked in peace and contentment. What do you want to say? Concubine Shu knelt on the ground. I beg you to follow the example of the late emperor and don't care about the gains and losses of your status for a while. Are you here to persuade me to issue an edict of repentance? He looked at concubine Shu and overturned the tray to the ground. Even you disobey me. Your Majesty, I am ready to be sentenced to death today, but there are some things I must say. She looked up and said calmly, don't let the people of the world feel cold. Get out. Get out. Get out of here. He slapped concubine Shu in the face and said angrily, get out immediately. Otherwise, I will be unable to resist the urge to kill you. Shame. It was a great shame. He was the emperor of Tianshun. Everything in Tianshun belonged to him, and the people of the world were his slaves. Even if he wanted to take their lives, it was what they deserved. Now he had to issue an edict of self-blame. If this wasn't a shame, what was it? If he admitted in front of the world that he was a foolish monarch, how could he have the face to sit on the dragon throne in the future? Your Majesty, the Crown Prince requests an audience. Emperor Tianshun thought for a moment and whispered, let him in. Not long after, He Lingsheng walked in. Your son pays his respects to Your Majesty. Get up. Thank you, Your Majesty. He Lingsheng looked at his gloomy face. Your Majesty, you have not been in good health recently. Your son has specially asked someone to find some top-quality tonic herbs. Dr. Jiang has already prescribed a prescription. They are all beneficial to your body. Your Majesty is thoughtful. Emperor Tianshun sighed. I believe you have heard about what happened in the Dingwa Palace. What do you think? Your son thinks that He Jingheng has gone too far and should be punished. Emperor Tianshun looked at him. Don't you think I was wrong? Your Majesty is the supreme ruler and the monarch of Tianshun. How can he be wrong? Yes, I am the monarch. The face of Emperor Tianshun changed slightly, and he couldn't help but recall what concubine Shu had just said. He sighed. I'm tired. Go down. Yes, I'll take my leave. He Lingsheng looked up and found nothing unusual, so he turned and left. He Lingsheng came to Launching Palace. At this time, concubine Zhao was resting with her eyes closed. Since she became pregnant, her appetite has become very good, and she felt sleepy from time to time. She just ate a few bites of cakes and felt dizzy and fell asleep. Your Highness, the Queen is asleep. Bishi stepped forward and said softly, according to your instructions, the Queen sleeps for a long time every day. He Lingsheng nodded. Well done. It is my duty to share your Highness's worries. Your brother has been very capable recently. The inspection office is just short of someone. Let him wait for news. Bishi was overjoyed when she heard this. Thank you, Your Highness. Since my mother is asleep, I will not disturb her. After he finished speaking, he left Launching Palace without looking back. As soon as he returned to the East Palace, he received news that the emperor issued an edict of repentance and promoted the concubine of Yongfu Palace to the concubine of Shu. How is it possible? He Lingsheng said coldly. Why would the emperor issue a self-criticism edict? Your Highness, not long after you left the imperial study, the emperor asked Li to go in. Li Ju whispered, I think the self-criticism edict was drafted at that time. If the self-criticism edict is issued, the Dingwa Palace will really make a comeback. Your Highness, although the Prince of the Dingwa Palace is not on good terms with you, he has no hatred. Now that he has returned, he will not be a threat to you. He Lingxing naturally understood this truth, but he had finally driven away the annoying family, and now he needed them to admit their mistakes and invite them back. I think he was really unwilling. Besides, how could there be no hatred? The woman he had set his eyes on first was now his prince's consort, and he had to marry that idiot home. How could he not resent it? At this time, the news that the emperor issued a self-criticism edict had spread, and the first person who couldn't sit still was Shangnian, who was related to everything. He was having lunch when he received the news. Originally, Madame Shang had bought many expensive jewelry with Shang Yufu today, just so that they could marry into the prince's mansion with great fanfare. Thinking that their daughter would one day become the crown princess and later the queen, Shang Nian and Madame Shang could not stop being excited, and had even begun to imagine the days after Shang Yufu became the queen. Fu, mother only has you as a daughter. You must make me and our prime minister's mansion proud. Madame Shang said with a smile, My Fu is indeed the most blessed child in the world. Shang Nian had a smile on his face. Yes, my Fu will become the queen in the future. By then, your father will be the father-in-law of the emperor, and our Shang family will be considered a real noble in the capital. Dad and mother, don't worry. When my daughter marries into the prince's mansion, she will surely win the prince's favor and become the prince's principal wife as soon as possible. Good. Good. The three of them were having a happy meal when a servant ran in. Master. Something bad has happened. Master. What happened? Shang Nian put down his chopsticks angrily. Master, the emperor issued an edict of repentance, and now it is spread throughout the capital. Edict of repentance? That's right. He briefly repeated the content of the Edict of Repentance. He was shocked and stood up from his seat. Really? Really? The servant said anxiously, The capital is in chaos now. Should we close the house and refuse visitors? Shang Nian's voice trembled slightly. Quick. Close the door quickly. Don't open the door, no matter who knocks. Yes. How could Shang Nian still have the mind to continue eating? In the self-criticism edict, although the emperor did not specify who was involved as an accomplice, he knew very well that he was involved in all these big and small things. It was precisely because of these that he could truly become the emperor's confidant. Master, what's wrong with you? Madame Shang asked in a low voice. It's okay, you guys eat first, I have something else to do. After she finished speaking, she hurried out. He Jingheng looked at the copied self-criticism edict, and the big stone that was blocking his heart suddenly shattered. He Yuan took it and looked at it for a long time, and for a moment he seemed to have aged a little. At this moment, Shang Ruai walked in with a pot of hot milk tea. Try it. He Yuan frowned. What is this? Bear milk tea. Shang Ruai poured him a cup. Father, would you like to try it? Are you willing to call me father now? He snorted. When you called me your prince that day, I thought you wanted to divorce Jingheng. He Jingheng said lightly, Father, don't worry. Even if I sever the father-son relationship with you, my son will not divorce Roy. You. He Yuan kicked him without saying anything. He Yuan picked up the milk tea, took a sip and found it sweet. I didn't expect you to have this skill. Father, you are too kind. It was just a sip. He Yuan looked at Shang Ruai and said softly, After waking up from the injury, I heard a lot about you. Since you were exiled, you have contributed the most to this family. Father is grateful. When you return to Beijing in the future, you will be in charge of this palace. A prince's consort who is good at martial arts, smart, upright, and straightforward but also thoughtful is definitely the most powerful helper for their palace. Manage the palace? Why should such a hard job fall on me? Early the next morning, Su Yuan arrived at Xia village. There were still 2 tigers guarding the entrance of the village, but when they saw him, they didn't even move. They arrived at the He family smoothly all the way. Su Zimo followed behind him with sleepy eyes, yawning continuously. Uncle, it's just dawn now. The prince and the others may not have gotten up yet. Why are you here so early? What do you know? Su Yuan glanced at him. You've been eating and sleeping all day, like a pig. Su Zimo was scolded so much that he didn't dare to talk back. At this moment, Yunqi's figure appeared in front of them without anyone noticing. Oh my god. Yunqi, who are you trying to scare to death? Su Zimo said in surprise. You walk without making any sound? Yunqi bowed and said, Sir Su, Mr. Su, our crown prince and crown princess have been waiting for a long time. What time is it now? They have been waiting for a long time? Su Zimo pouted and said, Don't these two people need to sleep? Su Yuan came to the main hall, bowed and said, I congratulate the crown prince on his reinstatement. Thank you, Sir Su. When he saw Su Yuan took out the imperial edict, he said lightly, Sir Su, my legs and feet are not very convenient. Although I can stand and walk, every time it is cold, my legs find it difficult to move. He pointed to his legs and said embarrassedly, Why don't you just read this imperial edict? Su Yuan knew what he was thinking. Even if the emperor issued an edict of repentance, it would be difficult to go back to the past. The Dinghua Palace will never again bow down to the emperor as it did before. Su Yuan placed the imperial edict on the table. In any case, this old minister has accomplished a great deed by coming here this time. Thank you for your hard work, Lord Su. Su Yuan talked with He Jingheng for a long time. Shang Ruai felt bored and went straight to the kitchen. As soon as she entered, she saw Su Zimo. What are you doing here? Su Zimo turned around and saw that it was her, without any embarrassment on his face. What time is it? Why haven't you made a fire and cooked yet? We have already had breakfast. Shang Ruai said with a smile. Breakfast is delivered to the room. Haven't you had breakfast? Su Zimo's stomach made a rumbling sound at the right time. Seeing this, Shang Ruai ignored him and turned away. Hey, where are you going? This is my house. You can go wherever you want. Do you still have the snacks you ordered from last time? He hesitated for a long time and finally asked, 10 taels of silver for one, Mr. Su. Do you want to buy one? Su Zimo's eyes suddenly widened when he heard this. Are you crazy? 10 taels of silver for one. Why don't you go and rob? Are you the only one in the world who can make this kind of snack? I'm a serious businessman. How could I do that? Shang Ruai smiled and said, If Mr. Su could eat it somewhere else, he wouldn't have run to someone else's kitchen to look for it. Su Zimo knew he couldn't argue with her, so he took out 30 taels of silver. I want 3. Shang Ruai looked at the silver and rolled her eyes. I'm not in the mood to cook today. If Mr. Su wants to eat it, just wait. What? Waiting?
How can that be?
He hadn't been able to sleep well or eat well these past few days. The aroma of the snacks was always lingering at his nose. If he couldn't eat them anymore, he was afraid he would go crazy. Just then, a secret guard came over. Princess, Miss Li is here. Shang Ruai slapped her head and hurried out to greet her. She had been busy with things here since she came back and had completely forgotten about the affairs of the Li family. Li Xia was waiting at the door, and when she saw a green figure walking out, a smile finally broke out on her face. Sister Shang.
Xia.
It's been so chaotic lately that I haven't been able to get away. It's okay. My grandfather and I have been slowly adapting to life in Tianshan these days. She said softly, Sister Shang, my grandfather asked me to ask about the Dongzhu clams. Shang Ruai was about to take her to the farm where the clams were raised, but before she had taken a few steps, she heard footsteps behind her. Wait. Su Zimo walked over and said, I haven't eaten my cakes yet. Where are you going now? At this moment, a figure stood in front of Shang Ruai. Master Su. Yunqi whispered, Please keep your distance from the crown prince's consort. Su Zimo said angrily, Yunqi, are you crazy? What could I care about your crown prince's consort? I just care about her snacks. Want to eat daifu? Shang Ruai smiled. If you want to eat daifu, you can't just have money. What else do you want? Since you want to eat it, come with me. Several people came to the farm on the outskirts of the city. Crown Princess. Shang Ruai said to Li Xia beside her, This is where I raise clams. There were dozens of clam ponds of different sizes in the huge yard, and each clam pond was filled with many eastern pearl clams. The water in the pond was clear and the eastern pearl clams raised, and it looked much larger than before. Sister Shang, how is the water in your pool so clear? Li Xia said with some surprise. I have thought of many ways, but none of them worked. There is a hot spring in this manor, and in the back mountain of this manor, there is a living spring. Every day, a steady supply of fresh water is injected into these pools. So that's how it is. Li Xia's eyes were full of surprise. Sister Shang is so amazing. Su Zimo curled his lips. What's so amazing about this? Where did this girl come from? How can you be so ignorant? He walked forward. His eyes fell on the pearl oysters at the bottom of the pond, and he was stunned. This is Dongzhu? Shang Ruai waved her hand, and a secret guard fished up a few eastern pearl clams. This pearl oyster is kept in the spiritual spring water, and it grows very fast. Sister Shang, your Tianshan is indeed a place of outstanding people and beautiful scenery. Even these eastern pearl clams grow better here. I thought that most of these eastern pearl clams would die after being transported from Bailing. It seems that this place is more suitable for growth. After listening for a while, Su Zimo finally reacted and said in surprise, This eastern pearl clam, is it yours? Bailing, the girl from the Li family, could she be the Miss Li who raises eastern pearls in Bailing? Among the royal merchants of the surrounding countries, the Li family is extremely famous. Many dignitaries and nobles have heard of it. Everyone loves beauty. Not to mention that Dongzhu represents not only wealth, but also a symbol of status and power. Upon hearing this, Li Xia nodded and shook her head. What do you mean, young lady? Su Zimo nodded and shook his head, which made Li Xia laugh out loud. This pearl oyster is mine, but it belongs even more to Sister Shang. Her words made Su Zimo stunned for a moment. What do you mean even more to her? Because my grandfather handed the Li family over to Sister Shang to manage. The Li family is hers, so this pearl oyster is naturally hers too, Li Xia said with a smile. Otherwise, why do you think we moved all the way here from Bailing? Your grandfather gave the Li family to her? Su Zimo said in surprise. Her surname is Shang. Is your grandfather confused? He gave the Li family to an outsider. Your grandfather is confused. Li Xia glared at him. You fool. What do you know? Sister Shang is. Before he finished speaking, he heard the surprised voice of the secret guard. Li Xia looked in the direction of the voice, and her pupils shrank suddenly. Su Zimo was also stunned there. Is this a Dongzhu? I saw a Dongzhu as big as a pigeon egg lying quietly in Shang Ruai's hand. Li Xia ran over quickly. I'm rich. Her eyes were sparkling, and she looked like a little money grubber. I have never seen such a big and perfect Dongzhu in my life. Shang Ruai handed the Dongzhu to her. It's just a broken bead. Take it and play with it. A broken bead? Su Zimo almost vomited blood when he walked forward. Such a big pearl is probably several times bigger than the ones in the palace. Who would not protect it like a treasure? This ancestor just threw it away and let her play with it? Before he could react, he heard another gasp. She was holding a golden pearl. Li Xia had never seen a golden pearl and had never heard the elders and her family mention it, which meant that no one had ever opened a golden pearl. Is this a real pearl? Li Xia's eyes seemed to be glued to the pearl. Is it because I am dazzled? After saying that, she threw the white pearl in her hand to the ground. Seeing this, Su Zimo hurriedly picked up the pearl. This prodigal girl, did she just throw away such a treasure? Sister Shang, is there a fairy air in the water and soil of your Tianshan? She murmured. Otherwise, how come these Dongzhu seem to have become spirits when they arrived in Tianshan? Shang Ruai smiled. What nonsense are you talking about? This. Shang Ruai waved her hand. It's just a bead. Take it and play with it. Okay. Li Xia came to her side with a flattering smile on her face and rubbed her shoulders. Sister Shang, you are my real sister. From now on, I will do whatever you say to me. If you frown, I will not be surnamed Li. Su Zimo rolled his eyes at her with some disdain. She is still the miss of the Li family. She is so useless. Li Xiaxia didn't care what Su Zimo thought, holding the golden dongju and couldn't let it go. Su Zimo looked at the white dongju in his hand and thought to himself that if this dongju was taken outside, he didn't know how high the price would be. No wonder Li Xiaxia showed such an expression. If Mr. Su likes it, I will give you this dongju. Su Zimo was shocked. Give it to him? How can I do this? Su Zimo said he was sorry, but he did not reach out his hand. Li Xiaxia saw this, walked up to him, and was about to take the dongju from his hand. Since you are embarrassed, just return the dongju. Su Zimo hurriedly put the dongju away and put it in his arms. You girl, how can you take something back after giving it to me? The crown prince's wife said she would give it to me. Why do you want it back? Li Xiaxia rolled her eyes at him. What I hate most is your pretentious face. Su Zimo patted his clothes and felt the huge dongju and was delighted. Sure enough, things like success are useless and real gold and silver are more real. Princess, since I have taken your things, please let me know if you need anything in the future. Shang Ruai smiled. Since Master Su said so, I really do have a favor to ask.
What is it?
Just tell me. He patted his chest. With the status of our Su family in Tianshan, there is nothing I can't do. The Leaf family moved from Bailing to Tianshan. They have no relatives here, so they can't settle down. But you also saw that if they can't settle down, this huge industry can't be traded. I heard that the Su family is in charge of this matter in Beijing. I guess for Master Su, helping the Li family settle down is a piece of cake. Su Zimo raised his eyebrows. You have made this plan from the beginning, so you brought me here to give me such a sweet treat. I'm right? What are you talking about, Master Su? How could I be so scheming? Su Zimo sneered. You don't have any scheming? Then all the women in the world are probably fools. Will you help me with this, Master Su? What if you help? What if you don't help? Shang Ruai smiled. What can I do? If you help, we can talk it out. If you don't help, then I can only go to He Jingheng and ask him to come to you in person. Then Dongju will be regarded as paying Master Su's medical expenses in advance. Su Zimo gritted his teeth and let He Jingheng, a guy who valued women over friends, come to him. He knew that he was deliberately making things difficult for him and would definitely be beaten up by him. Women are the most vicious. Okay, I'll help you. He suddenly thought of something, turned to Shang Ruoi and said, but we have a deal. After this is done, you have to make me 2 big plates of something like that.
Dafu.
Yes, that's Dafu. Sister Shang, can you make snacks? Come back with me. I'll make them for you. When they returned to the mansion, Su Yuan hadn't left yet. Shang Ruai simply made some more. Su Yuan was an old-fashioned man, and he had no interest in snacks at all, but seeing Su Zimo eating so deliciously opposite him, he couldn't help but take a piece and put it in his mouth. He couldn't help but widen his eyes. Excuse me, princess, what kind of snack is this? Su Zimo smiled. Uncle, this is called Dafu.
Dafu?
What's the name? Does Lord Su like the snack? Su Yuan nodded. The crown prince's wife is very clever and can make such delicious food. The crown prince is so lucky. I remember that the prince loves snacks very much. If he were still alive, he would be very happy. Shang Ruai and He Jingheng looked at each other. He Jingheng smiled. Yes, father also likes this snack very much. Yes, the prince will definitely. Su Yuan suddenly stopped. The prince means father is still alive.
Really?
Su Yuan's face was overjoyed. The prince is really still alive? He Jingheng nodded. Today I was just about to tell you about this matter. Since the emperor has issued an edict of guilt, it proves that our Dinghua palace is innocent, and my father's crime of treason is not established. Now that I have found my father, can he also be reinstated? Of course. Su Yuan said excitedly. I wonder where the prince is now. Can I meet him? Let's talk about it after we return to Beijing. He Jingheng whispered, Grandmother and mother don't know about father's affairs yet. Then I will return to Beijing first and report to His Majesty. Thank you for your hard work, Lord Su. Su Yuan wanted to say goodbye and leave, but he saw Su Zimo wolfing down the snacks on the plate. The way he looked had thrown all the rules and upbringing of their Su family to the wind. He walked up and slapped him on the head. Don't say your last name is Su when you go out in the future. I can't afford to lose face with you. After he finished speaking, he bowed slightly to He Jingheng and Shang Ruoi and turned to leave. Uncle! Uncle! Su Zimo looked at the snacks in his hand, then looked at his back, thought about it and sat back down. Aren't you going back with Lord Su? He Jingheng whispered. You'd better spare me. Su Yuan said, the journey back to the capital is so long. If I go back with him, I will probably have to go to the temple halfway. It's better to listen to the monk's lectures than to listen to his nagging. At dinner time, everyone cried with joy when they heard that they could go back to the capital. But everyone in the third room, except Song Fangji, Lin and He Jingxi, were all worried. What's the point of going back to the capital for them? He Ziyuan will definitely not survive. The position of the prince will be inherited by He Jingxi, but everyone knows that the prince of Ding has no real power. Even the daily expenses have to be paid from the Dinghua Palace. What's the use of a prince with no power and no money? Sister-in-law. He Yuni finally recovered a little. She smiled and said, my yard was too far away from yours and your brother's yard before. This time when I return to the palace, you must arrange a new yard for me. I want to be next to yours and your brother's yard. Okay. Shang Ruai agreed. Why are you still such a child? Qin said with a smile. Now you have reached the age to get married. I have discussed with your grandmother. When we return to the capital, your brother will inherit the throne of Prince Ding and will find a husband for you. Now that the palace has cleared the grievances, no matter which family you marry into, they will not dare to let you down. Yes. The old princess also said, although your father is not here, your grandmother will definitely not let you down in marriage. You are the only girl in our Prince Ding's palace. I thought Hyuni would be ashamed to talk about marriage, but her face changed several times and her tone was slightly deep. I don't want to get married.
What?
Not getting married? Qin and the old princess looked at each other and said anxiously, Child, what nonsense are you talking about? How can a girl not get married? Hyuni didn't say anything but kept poking the rice with chopsticks. Shang Ruai knew in her heart that it must be because of Ling Feng. Grandmother, mother. Shang Ruai said with a smile, it is not an easy thing to choose a husband's family. Sometimes it depends on fate. Qin nodded. Ruai is right. I think Ruai and Jingheng are a match made in heaven. Lin looked at their family talking and laughing and felt very upset. He Jingxi's face was also a little ugly. Hey, if your father was still alive, he would be very pleased to see you like this. Qin took Shang Ruai's hand. You have suffered a lot during this period. It's a pity that you can't see your father. As she said that, her tears fell again. Who said that father can't see him? He Jingheng whispered. Father is still alive. Everyone looked at him in shock when they heard it.
Hengya.
The old princess stood up tremblingly. You just said that your father is still alive. Is that true? Yes, grandmother. My father was seriously injured before, but he is well now. Qin's eyes were red and tears could not stop falling. Hunger, where is your father? Where is he? At this moment, a tall figure slowly appeared in everyone's eyes. As soon as Hyun walked in, the old princess and Qin went to greet him. My son is unfilial and makes my mother worried. Hyun knelt directly in front of the old princess. Please punish me. The old princess was crying with joy at this time. How could she have the leisure to punish? It's good that he is alive. It's good that he is back. When the old princess heard that Hyun was rescued by Shang Ruai, she was even more grateful to her. Our Dinghua Palace really married a good daughter-in-law. Hyuni hugged Shang Ruai's arm and was full of admiration. I said, sister-in-law is the best. Lin looked at the family reunion and her heart was sour again. They were afraid that they would never be reunited again. He Jingxi clenched his fists on his legs, lowered his head, and could not see the expression on his face. The next day, they began to pack their luggage and prepare to return to Beijing. No need to move anything here, I will make new arrangements in Beijing. He Jinghing said to everyone, "We will set off in 10 days." Shang Ruai came to the milk tea shop. Since she was leaving, she had to take the cows with her. It was afraid that this shop would be difficult to run. At this moment, a familiar voice came from behind. "Boss, how about I go to the capital to help you raise cattle?" Shang Ruai turned around and saw Ling Feng walked in. "How about it?" "Yesterday, Grandma mentioned that she wanted to find a marriage for Uni." Shang Ruai said in a very low voice, "You, who raises cattle, don't seem to be qualified. Looking for a marriage for Uni?" His expression changed suddenly. "Do you have any good families in mind?" "I said before that not everyone can be the son-in-law of our Dingwa Palace, but Grandma has lived in the capital for many years, and she must know which family has a promising son. Since she can say such a thing, she must have made plans." Ling Feng's face looked a little ugly. With his current status, he might not be qualified to marry her. After a while, he smiled. If the family that the old princess helps her find can be liked by her and can treat her wholeheartedly, it will be a good thing. Shang Ruai smiled lightly. The most precious thing in this world is sincerity. If someone can be wholehearted for a lifetime, it is impossible to expect others to be wholehearted. Ling Feng heard this and whispered, "If I say that as long as the great revenge is avenged, I will marry her immediately. Are you willing to help me?" Shang Ruai shook her head. "If you want to marry her, you must let her know, instead of asking me to help you here." Ling Feng thought for a while, bowed and said, "Thank you, I understand." After the words fell, he turned around and left. When she went to find He-Uni that day, she saw a dagger-shaped ornament on her pillow. It was obviously a man's thing. The only thing that could make her value it so much and put it on her pillow every day was Ling Feng's thing. If the two love each other, don't miss it and don't regret it for the rest of your life. But this is all she can do. If she interferes with other people's affairs, bad things might happen. She was about to go to the capital, but the Li family had just moved here, and she couldn't help but have a headache. Su Zimo worked very quickly and had already settled down, but he hadn't had time to buy a house, and now they still live in the farm. Li Xia saw Shang Ruai coming and trotted to her side. "Sister, you're here." Shang Ruai nodded. "Where's Grandpa?" "Grandpa is resting in the yard. He was talking about you this morning and kept asking when you could come over." As they were talking, they had arrived at the gate of the old man's yard. "Grandfather." Li Wenshan heard this and turned around quickly. "Good child, are you all forgot your grandfather?" Shang Ruai didn't dare to tell him what had happened recently, for fear of scaring him. There are too many trivial matters in the palace recently, and it is really difficult to get away. She smiled. "Are you used to it here?" Li Wenshan nodded. I'm used to it. Grandfather, I believe you have heard about the Emperor Tianshuan's Edict of Repentance. I will return to the capital in a few days." Shang Ruai whispered, "I was thinking, if you are willing, how about going back to the capital with me?" Li Wenshan heard this and smiled and shook his head. "Forget it. Don't bother. My old bones can't toss anymore, and the journey from here to the capital is too long. I'm afraid that so many Dongju clans will die before they reach the capital. As long as you nod, you don't have to worry about the Dongju clans. I promise that none of them will die. But you are old, and you are so far away. If something happens, I will be unable to reach you. It is better for you to come back to Beijing with me. We can buy a farm in the suburbs of Beijing to raise pearl clams, and you can buy a house in the city. Xia is also of marriageable age, and she can't stay here forever." Although Li Wenshan was reluctant to move, he could not resist her persuasion. In the end, he had to nod in agreement. Li Xia was very happy to hear that she could go back to Beijing with her. "Sister, this way I can always be with you." Shang Ruai took out a hairpin and inserted it in her hair. "This is it!" Li Xia exclaimed. "This is a hairpin made of purple oriental pearls. Remember, from today on, our Li family will have so many oriental pearls that they will never be used up, and they will all be top-quality oriental pearls." Li Xia blinked. "So, our Li family can become the imperial merchant of Tianshan in the future?" "Silly child, what kind of imperial merchant do we want to be with this background? In the future, The Li family will definitely become a noble family, a Dongzhu noble family. When she finished speaking, Li Wenshan and Li Xiaxia's eyes lit up. Although they are both engaged in the Dongzhu business, the imperial merchants and the noble families are completely different. Sister, I understand. Grandfather, don't worry about the Dongzhu oysters. I will take care of it. On the day of departure, Shang Ruai ordered Bai Zhou to take 50 Suzaku to be responsible for the safety of the Li family. The Li family's team did not follow behind the Dinghua Palace, but set off first. Except for He Jingheng, no one knew the relationship between her and the Li family. In the palace of Shiyu City, Jun Ziqian looked at the letter in his hand, his eyebrows drooped, and said in a deep voice, "This Tianshan emperor is not stupid. If he doesn't issue a self-blame edict, the Dinghua Palace will not return the jade seal and the half-tiger talisman." Jun Ziqian snorted coldly. He didn't mean that. Tianshan emperor bullied Dinghua Palace, which was bullying his sister, and he would definitely not let him go. "Prince, the prince invites you." Jun Ziqian frowned. "Isn't father recuperating?" The guard thought for a moment and whispered, "It must be because of Princess Luoyun." When Princess Luoyun was mentioned, Jun Ziqian frowned even deeper. As soon as he entered the courtyard of King Cheng, he heard Luoyun crying from inside, "Father, that day, that Nan Charan openly contradicted and humiliated me like this. You must help me." She wore a hairpin on her head, and every time she cried, the hairpin swayed, and the sound made King Cheng frown. "Okay, don't cry. Father has sent someone to call your brother. Since you said he was there that day, he must know what happened. If he really bullied you, father will definitely not forgive him." "Thank you, father, for your decision." When Jun Ziqian walked in with a frown, he saw his father looking at him helplessly. "Your son greets you, father. Is your health better now?" "Xianer, get up quickly." King Cheng sighed. "Didn't I tell you that you don't need to perform such a great ceremony?" Jun Ziqian sat on the chair farthest from Luo Yun and said lightly, "What is the matter that your father summoned your son here today?" "It was Luo Yun. She told me that the rascal of the Nan family bullied her, so your father summoned you to ask. If this is true, you must go to their house to ask for an explanation." "Ask for an explanation?" Jun Ziqian snorted coldly. "If your father goes to ask for an explanation, your son will definitely not stop you. Your father should indeed go to the Nan family." Hearing him say this, Luo Yun was extremely surprised. Wasn't her brother good friends with Nan Charan? Why would he agree to let her go to his house to ask for an explanation? Could it be that her brother suddenly felt sorry for her? Thinking of this, she felt a secret joy in her heart. Before the smile on her lips could expand, she heard Jun Ziqian continue to say, "Father, don't forget to bring generous gifts." The king of city was stunned for a moment. "Why? I have to bring generous gifts when I go to his Nan family to ask for an explanation? Your precious adopted daughter poisoned Nan Charan with a 7-day powder. If it hadn't been discovered in time by the genius doctor, the consequences would have been disastrous." 7-day powder. Luo Yun's face instantly turned ugly. "What? 7-day powder?" The king of city said in a deep voice. "What 7-day powder?" "I have to ask you, Luo Yun." The king of city set his eyes on her. It was hard for him to believe that his adopted daughter, who had always been gentle and honest by his side, would do such a thing. Luo Yun studied medicine. How could she poison people? After saying this, the king of city's eyes fell on her. "Did you poison him?" Jun Luo Yun quickly stood up and knelt down. "Father, you know your daughter, and your daughter will never do such a thing." The king of city did not say anything, and Jun Luo Yun's heart was beating like a drum. "Get up." "Thank you, father." The king of city coughed twice. "Luo Yun, you go back first. Father still has something to say to your brother." "Yes, daughter will take her leave." How dare she mention Nan Charan's affairs at this time? She hurriedly took him out. "What's going on?" The king of city's tone was low, and the image of a kind father just now had completely disappeared. "Did you gain anything from this trip to Bailing?" The gains were too great, but he promised Ruai that he would not tell anyone for the time being. "I just found out some things, but there is no clue for the time being. When things are over, I will make it clear to you," father. The king of city has always been confident in his son. His eyes fell on his legs. I think you must have gained a lot. Your leg has healed in such a short time. Junze nodded. You have indeed met an extraordinary person. Oh. Upon hearing this, the king of city became interested. What kind of person can make you evaluate him like this? Father will meet him sooner or later. Hearing him say this, the king of city was even more curious, but seeing that he had no intention of continuing the topic, he couldn't help but be annoyed. He knew his son's temperament best. If there was something he didn't want to say, he wouldn't say it even if a knife was placed on his neck. You know what happened in the Dingwang Palace, right? The king of city said in a low voice. Yeah. Jun Zigan frowned and spoke in a cold tone when he heard this. It seems that Emperor Tianshan is not that confused, but the increase in Tianshuan's national strength is not a good thing for us. After all, the Dinghua Palace is the toughest nut too. That's not necessarily true. Junze laughed dryly. Father, you'd better take good care of yourself. Don't worry about these things. Also, find a few ants in charge in the palace to teach Jun Luoyun the rules. Luoyun is your sister after all. She is not my sister, Junze said coldly. Back then, you shouldn't have taken her in out of pity. She was homeless and such a young child. The most important thing is that her eyes and eyebrows looked so much like your mother. You thought she might be your and your mother's daughter. Junze laughed coldly. Facts have proved that she has nothing to do with your mother. Your mother was pregnant when she left. If she could give birth to a child, it would be the same size as Luoyun. He sighed and said tiredly, I hold out hope, but it's just a dream after all. Junze looked at him and felt a little reluctant. Over the years, your father has treated Luoyun very well, hoping to move God and treat my daughter well. No matter where she is, I hope she will be loved by her parents, just like I treat Luoyun. The king of the city's eyes were slightly red. If your father can see her again in his lifetime, his life will be complete. Hearing him say this, Jun Zigan was shocked. He had never heard his father mention these words. I believe that my father's sincerity can move God. As the ancient said, God is merciful. Perhaps you will be able to see her soon. Jun Luoyun felt uneasy after returning to the yard. Brother, how did you know about the 7 days powder? She twisted the handkerchief vigorously with both hands. At this moment, a masked face flashed before her eyes. Could it be her? Yes, it must be her. She was there when I was taken away that day. What a good young masterling Jun. He has ruined her plans many times. Come here. She wrote a note and handed it to the maid. Go and deliver this to the master, and the master will know what to do. Yes, princess. After several days of long journey, everyone in Dinghua Palace finally arrived in the capital. The palace had been completely packed up. They kept a low profile on their return so as not to alarm the people in the city. At night, they ordered people to open the city gates and returned to the Dinghua Palace under the cover of darkness. Looking at the familiar palace, everyone couldn't help but sigh. The first thing Shang Ruai did when she returned home was to place all the gold, silver, and jewelry she had taken away earlier in the warehouse. Looking at the full warehouse, she curled her lips slightly. Just as she was about to leave, she heard footsteps coming. She quickly hid in the space. Prince, according to your instructions, this storehouse has not been touched, but the princess dowry is certainly nowhere to be found. Yuntian said softly, the crown princess dowry is also missing. It doesn't matter. Add these boxes of gold, silver, and jewelry to the crown princess dowry. As for mother and grandmothers, just look for them according to their lists. Yes. Yuntian opened the storehouse door and froze in place. I saw nearly 100 boxes stacked in the originally empty warehouse. He rubbed his eyes to make sure he was not seeing things. This is really... The warehouse was clearly empty. Where did these boxes come from? Prince, this. He Jinghun walked forward, and his eyes fell on the box. He reached out and touched it. There was not a trace of dust on it. His eyes flickered, and with a wave of his hand, the box opened. It was filled with gold, silver, and jewelry. Prince, isn't this warehouse a bit weird? Yuntian swallowed and said, These jewels seem to appear out of thin air. Yes, appearing out of thin air. At this moment, a familiar smell made his pupils shrink suddenly. He looked around and didn't see the figure. He whispered, "Let's go."
Go.
"How can I leave? This palace is haunted." He Jingheng said nothing, turned around and left quickly. Shang Ruai waited in the space for a while, and seeing that it was pitch black outside, she finally walked out of the space and returned to the yard under the cover of night. She didn't see that just as she left the warehouse, He Jingheng's figure slowly walked out from the darkness. After a while, Yun Tian came to him. "Prince, according to your instructions, all the boxes have been put into the Crown Princess's warehouse." He Jingheng said nothing, his eyes still looking in the direction she left. His face was as calm as water, but his heart was already in turmoil. That fragrance was clearly the smell of her body. Where did she hide hundreds of boxes and so much gold, silver, and jewelry? How is it transported? This is simply not something a human can do in such a short time. Could it be that she is really a god? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but think of the firearms she took out. He Jingheng took out the pistol she had given him before and stroked the gun body. This was not something that Tianshan or other countries could make. Compared with the firearms she took out, the fire bombs from Tianwai Villa were nothing. The secret guards are all saying that the crown prince's wife must be the reincarnation of the goddess. Yuntian looked at the gun in his hand and said with a smile, "I think so too." "The goddess?" "That's right." Yuntian's smile grew even wider. If it wasn't for the goddess, how could she have such a powerful firearm? She has saved people from danger many times, and even the Iron Feather Guards are convinced. Hearing this, He Jingheng couldn't help but curl his lips slightly. Yes, it must be the goddess. How lucky is he to be able to spend his life with a woman like her. At this time, in the prince's mansion, He Lingxing stood by the window with a frown on his face. Soon, two figures appeared in his room. Li Xi and Li Tian, "Meet the crown prince." "I'm back." He Lingxing turned around and looked at the two of them. "Did you find anything in the Dinghua Palace during this time?" The two looked at each other and said with their heads down, "Your Highness, there is nothing wrong with the Prince of Ding and the princess. Since the prince's leg healed, he often travels with the princess, but usually comes back in one day. The two of us once secretly followed them and found that they were just going to the shops in the town or the county." He Lingxing's eyes were cold and stern. "So, during the time you two were lurking in the Dingwang Palace, apart from gaining some weight, you didn't bring back any useful information?" Hearing this, the two of them lowered their heads guiltily. "We are useless. Please punish us, Your Highness." "Waste." He Lingxing clenched his fists. He wished he could chop them directly, but at the moment the Dingwang Palace was impregnable and there was no way to plant spies. The two of them followed everyone in the Dingwang Palace back to Beijing and were the only ones who could deliver news from the palace. "I will give you one last chance. From now on, pay attention to all the news from the Dinghua Palace and report to me at any time." "Yes." The two of them left the prince's mansion, and a guard came over. "Your Highness, Prime Minister Shang is here." He Lingxing frowned and said in a deep voice, "Let him in." Not long after, Shang Nian came hurriedly. "Your Highness." He knelt on the ground with a plop. "Your Highness, please save this old minister." He Lingxing sat in the main seat and looked at Shang Nian, who was kneeling on the ground with cold eyes. "Why do you say that, Prime Minister Shang?" Shang Nian made a bitter face. "Your Highness, His Majesty has issued an edict of repentance." This old minister. Is Your Majesty involved in it?" He Lingxing said in a low voice, "I see that my father has no intention of punishing me." The emperor had no intention of punishing me because he wanted to keep him to vent his anger on the Dinghua Palace. After all, he was the one who planned the death of tens of thousands of soldiers, the massacre of several major families, and the exile of the Dinghua Palace. "Your Highness, my daughter is about to marry into the prince's mansion. As long as you can protect my family, I am willing to serve Your Highness at all times without hesitation." He took out a map from his arms and handed it to He Lingxing. "Your Highness, this is something I found by accident, and I am willing to present it to your highness. He Lingsheng looked at the map and his pupils shrank sharply. This is… Yes, what is drawn on this map is the treasure left over from the previous dynasty. Shangyan whispered. This is something I found by accident. It is said that the treasure map is divided into 4 parts, and this is one of them. He Lingsheng couldn't help but smile when he heard it. I didn't expect that the Prime Minister would have such a good thing in his hands. Your Highness, my mansion was robbed before, and there is nothing worth showing off. I'm sure your Highness would not look down on these things, so I can only take this map to honor your Highness. He Lingsheng had long heard that before the fall of the previous dynasty, a huge fortune was left behind, but no one knew where it was hidden. The emperor of the previous dynasty left a treasure map for his descendants, which was divided into 4 parts. As long as the treasure map was put together, the treasure of the previous dynasty could be found. However, these were all rumors. He Lingsheng did not expect to see the fragments of the treasure map today. Since Prime Minister Shang is so kind, I have to accept it. He smiled and said, I will tell my father what the Prime Minister wants. Shang Yan was delighted when he heard this. Thank you, Your Highness. He smiled and said, I will do my best to assist Your Highness, and I will also find a way to put this treasure map together. After Shang Yan left, He Lingsheng looked at the treasure map on the table and squinted his eyes. He thought he knew the temperament of this old man Shang Yan very well, and he would definitely not have only one copy of this treasure map. The next morning, all the civil and military officials did not dare to speak, and their eyes fell on He Yuan and He Jingheng, who were in the front from time to time. Your Majesty, I beg you to punish the Minister of the Central Secretariat Jingqi, Prince Ding Heziyuan, and Prime Minister Shang Yan, in order to comfort the souls of the soldiers who died tragically in Kajingwan. Zheng Qi and Heziyuan were thrown into the prison early in the morning, and now only Shang Yan was left kneeling on the ground. He kept wiping the sweat from his head. Your Majesty, please have mercy, I know I was wrong. The veins on Emperor Tianquan's forehead were exposed, and he said in a deep voice, You two came to the court so aggressively to ask for punishment when you first returned to the court. Do you still want to punish me? He Yuan did not speak, only to hear He Jingheng say, Your Majesty is the Son of Heaven, but even the Son of Heaven is guilty of the same crime as the common people. Now I am only punishing the instigator of the Kajingwan case. He Jingheng's eyes fell on Emperor Tianquan, and his eyes were as sharp as a knife, which made Emperor Tianquan's scalp numb, as if the 4 words instigator referred to him instead of Shang Yan, who was kneeling on the ground. In fact, who among the civil and military officials didn't know what He Jingheng meant? The person he was referring to was Emperor Tianquan. Tens of thousands of soldiers died tragically at Qijing Pass. How can such a person who is partial to his own interests and perverts the law have the face to live in the world? As soon as He Jingheng finished speaking, many generals stood up. Some of them went to Qijing Pass with He Yuan and his son. No one knew better than them how tragic the battle was. If it weren't for them, all the soldiers would have been buried there. I beg Your Majesty to punish him severely. I beg Your Majesty to punish him severely. I beg Your Majesty to punish him severely. Your Majesty, please punish Shang Qingqiu with the death penalty to comfort the souls of the generals in heaven. He Jingheng stepped forward and said with a bow, not only that, Your Majesty should also distribute pensions to the families of those soldiers who died tragically. His words made Emperor Tianquan, who was already on the verge of rage, even more angry. More than 60,000 people. Even if each person pays 10 taels, it will be more than 600,000 taels, which is definitely a huge expense for the court. At this time, He Lingsheng stood up, clasped his hands, and said, Your Majesty, I have something to say.
What?
Your Majesty, He Lingsheng said in a low voice, Prime Minister Shang is indeed wrong, but he has devoted himself to the court over the years, and he can be regarded as hard work and great contributions. I think he should be relieved of his post as Prime Minister, demoted to a remote place, and allowed to make meritorious contributions while serving his sentence. If what the prince said is true, as long as he has made meritorious contributions, his sins can be offset, then many people sentenced to death in this world can be exempted from punishment. Su Yuan said in a cold voice. Although Prime Minister Shang has made contributions to the court, it is difficult to offset his merits and demerits. Moreover, what Prime Minister Shang has done has shaken the foundation of the country. His crime should be punished, and not killing him is not enough to appease the public anger. Your Majesty, please make a decision. All civil and military officials knelt on the ground. I beg Your Majesty to make a decision. He Lingsheng had not expected that although the Dinghua Palace had been away from the court for so long, it would still have such an appeal. Emperor Tianshun held the armrests of the dragon throne tightly with both hands and said in a cold voice, "Come here. Drag Shangyan away, put him in the sky prison, and execute him in the autumn." Upon hearing this, Shangyan's heart sank to the bottom in an instant. He looked at He Lingsheng in shock, and when he saw that he just looked at him coldly, he quickly lowered his head. The Imperial Guard stepped forward and dragged Shangyan away. Shangyan collapsed all over and did not utter a sound. After the morning court session, He Jingheng went straight back to the Dinghua Palace. At this time, everyone in the palace was discussing the gold, silver, and jewelry that suddenly appeared in the storehouse. After counting, they confirmed that the items were exactly the same as those stored in the warehouse before the house was searched. It must be the blessing of gods. It must be the blessing of gods. Shang Ruai felt guilty after listening to the servant's words. I never expected that these things would come back. The old princess smiled and said, "May the ancestors of the He family bless us." Yes. Qin was also very happy, because these contained the dowry she had prepared for her daughter. She had been worried before about what to do when Yuni got married in the future, but now she doesn't have to worry about it. Thanks to Ruai. The old princess took her hand and said, "It must be because of marrying you that our Dinghua Palace is what it is today." Shang Ruai smiled and said nothing. At this time, He Jingheng came over, Grandma Mother. He stood beside Shang Ruai. What are you doing here? Jingheng, you're here just in time. Come and take a look. The old princess pointed to the warehouse and said, "Didn't they say before that these things disappeared inexplicably? Today the housekeeper reported that all the items in the warehouse appeared here intact. My grandson heard about it yesterday, and I came to see it myself last night." His eyes fell on Shang Rui's face, and seeing that her expression was a little stiff, he couldn't help but smiled and said, "I think some little thief stole these things, and then felt guilty and returned them." Little thief? Shang Rui frowned, turned her head and glared at him. Her gaze fell into his smiling eyes, and her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Why was he looking at me like that? Could it be that he knew something? Suddenly she remembered that she did not see He Jingheng in the yard after she left the warehouse last night, and she broke out in a cold sweat. When the old princess heard him say this, she hurriedly said, "What little thief could move these big boxes around under the noses of so many people?" Yes. He Jingheng smiled and said, "Grandson also wants to know about this." He looked at Shang Ruai again. "Don't the crown prince's concubine want to know?" Shang Ruai was startled. Her eyes fell on He Jingheng's smiling eyes. She was shocked. He must have known. I want to know, too. I thought that with the crown prince's consort's intelligence, she would definitely know the trick." He Jingheng smiled and patted her head. It turns out that the crown prince's consort doesn't know either. When the old princess heard him calling her the crown prince's consort, she was not as friendly as before and hurriedly said, "Why are you making things difficult for Roy here? She is not that little thief. How would she know where these boxes came from?" Shang Ruai smiled bitterly. If she didn't know that the old princess knew nothing about what she had done, she would have thought that the old princess was deliberately cooperating with He Jingheng to make fun of her. Just then, a servant came over quickly and said, "Princess consort, the lady and the eldest daughter of the Shang mansion are here." Shang Yufu and the eldest lady? What are they here for? Today in the court, my father and I impeached Shangyan. Now he has been detained in the Tianlao, waiting to be executed in the autumn. He Jingheng whispered, "The two of them came to see you. It must be related to this matter." Shang Ruai nodded thoughtfully. "Let them in." Soon, Shang Yufu and the other two were brought to her yard. Shang Yufu looked at the magnificent Dinghua Palace and felt jealous. If father had not let Shang Ruai marry here in her place, everything here would be hers now. Wealth, power, and status, all these things that should have belonged to her fell into the hands of Shang Ruai, a concubine. She thought she could marry into the prince's mansion and become his concubine, but father was imprisoned, and she lost her status as the prime minister's legitimate daughter. How could the prince marry her? Furthermore, even if she married into the prince's mansion, without her powerful family, it would be difficult for her to survive in the mansion. You two please wait a moment. The crown prince's consort is just taking a walk with the princess royal and will be here shortly. The first lady and Shang Yufu were sitting on chairs. The first lady said in a deep voice, "I didn't expect this little witch to be so lucky that she could come back alive after being exiled." Not only did she come back alive, but she also dragged their Shang family into trouble. Now, the situation has changed, and their Shang family has become prisoners. If Daddy hadn't cancelled my marriage with Prince Ding, I would be the one in charge of the palace now, and I would never let the prince hold Daddy accountable. Our Shang family would still be the most prosperous family in Bailey. Shang Yufu said angrily, "It's all Daddy's fault."
Okay.
The eldest lady whispered, "Now is not the time to talk about this. We came here today to let that little witch Shang Ruai beg Prince Ding and the prince not to pursue your father's crimes. Will that little witch agree?" Shang Yufu said with a guilty conscience, "We bullied her and her daughter so much in the early years. She must be holding a grudge. Who knows how she wants to humiliate us today? Humph, if she doesn't have the support of the Shang family, who in the Dingwa Palace will look up to her. What's more, she has a trump card that can clamp her life. If she doesn't obey, she will spread the news, and at worst, both sides will be destroyed." Shang Yufu thought about it, and it was true. At this moment, several servants came in and stood on both sides of the gate. Shang Yufu looked towards the door and saw a woman wearing a green dress and a fox fur cloak walked in. "Is this that little witch Shang Ruai?" She looked at her in shock and almost couldn't recognize her. How long had it been? How did she become so beautiful? It's like he has become a different person. The eldest lady also stood there in a daze, and then the anger in her heart grew like weeds. She actually looks exactly like that witch Wei, and is even more beautiful than Wei. Shang Ruai looked at the two of them, frowning slightly. "How dare you not show courtesy when meeting the crown prince's consort?" Xiaoyao said coldly. "It's you?" The eldest lady said in surprise. "Are you Xiaoyao?" The eldest lady has a good memory. Xiaoyao stood behind Shang Ruai. "I thank you very much, madam, for selling me out that year. Otherwise, I would not have met the crown prince's wife." The eldest lady's face turned pale. She didn't expect that a servant would dare to speak rudely to her. "How can this be possible?" she said angrily. "How can a servant be so arrogant?" "Madam." Shang Ruai sat in the main seat and said coldly, "It is not your turn to teach my maid a lesson." Upon hearing this, the madam remembered what she had come here to ask for today and had to put down her half-raised hand in disappointment. Upon seeing this, Shang Yufu took the eldest lady's hand and simply bowed to Shang Ruai. "Greetings, Crown Prince's consort." "Get up," Shang Ruai said in a light tone. "What wind blew today? How did it you two here?" Shang Yufu held the handkerchief tightly in her hand. She was asking questions even though she knew the answer. He Jingheng was the one who planned her father's imprisonment. How could she not know? Now, asking them like this is just to embarrass them. "Since I heard that the Dingwa Palace was pardoned by the emperor and returned to Beijing, my mother and I came to see you," Shang Yufu said with a smile. "Before, you were exiled with the Dingwa Palace. Your father and mother felt that they did not take good care of you and let you suffer with them. They often felt guilty. Now that we see you are living so well, we are relieved." Shang Ruai looked at her. She hadn't seen her for a while, but she didn't expect that Shang Yufu's temper was much better than before. "Really?" Shang Ruai looked at the still gloomy face of the eldest lady, smiled and said, "I looked at the eldest lady's face. She doesn't seem to be happy for me, but as if I owed her a lot of money." Hearing this, the eldest lady forced a smile. "How could it be? But I married here for my eldest sister and was exiled to the Dingwa Palace. Wasn't it all your doing?" Why are you saying such things now? Could it be that the emperor forced you to do it? Shang Ruai's words made the two of them change their faces. Ruai, you must not say such treasonous words. Shang Yufu hurriedly said. If others hear it, except for the two of you, there is no one else here. Shang Ruai sneered. Also, eldest sister, please call me the prince's consort. After all, there is a difference between the superior and the inferior now, and this is also the truth that the eldest lady and eldest sister taught me when I was young. Shang Ruai's words made their faces turn pale and blue. I still remember when I was young, I just ate a piece of cake that you didn't want, and the eldest lady ordered me to be dragged out and beaten with 10 boards. I was only a few years old at that time, and the 10 boards almost took my life. What did the eldest lady say at that time? Shang Ruai said coldly, there is a difference between the noble and the humble. Today's board is to let you know that you, a lowly person, can't even touch the things that my daughter doesn't want. The eldest lady's face was extremely ugly. That is. You two should stop pretending to be very familiar with me. It's really disgusting. Shang Ruai knocked on the table with one hand and supported her chin with the other hand. What are the reasons for you two to come here today? Just tell me directly. I have to go with my mother to choose the headwear later. I don't have time to play guessing games with you here. It's really annoying. The eldest lady and Shang Yufu looked at each other, and the eldest lady said in a low voice, we came here today to ask you to talk to the prince and the lord, asking them not to pursue your father's guilt and let him go. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing when she heard that. The mother and daughter actually said that. Where's their face? They don't even want to have face anymore. Did you two leave something at home when you went out? Shang Yufu shook her head. No. Could it be that she said that because she didn't bring any gifts? She glared at the eldest lady beside her with dissatisfaction. She had specially instructed her mother before leaving, but her mother refused to do so, saying that there was no family background at home now, and if something happened to her father, they would still need the money to live. Why did I see you left something behind? Shang Ruai said slowly. Didn't you two leave your brains at home? Otherwise, how could you say such nonsense? The eldest lady stood up suddenly. You dare to scold us.
How dare you?
Xiaoyao said loudly. How dare you shout here? Don't forget where we are now. This is the Dingwa Palace. Crown Princess, mother is impatient. Don't argue with her. Shang Yufu gritted her teeth, but still had a smile on her face. We came here today to ask the Crown Princess to save Dad.
Why?
Shang Ruai sneered. Why should I save him? Princess, although you are now the Crown Prince's consort of the Dingwa Palace, there is one thing you must know. If one is without the other will be in danger. You are a member of the Shang family. Now in this huge palace, if you don't have your powerful family, your life in this palace will be extremely difficult in the future. If the Crown Prince marries a concubine with a prominent family background, then sooner or later you will have to give up your position as the principal wife. Shang Ruai raised the corners of her lips when she heard this, just like my eldest sister now. She smiled and said, I heard that my eldest sister was assigned by the emperor to be the Crown Prince's concubine. Now that something has happened in the Prime Minister's mansion, is this marriage off? Shang Yufu's face looked extremely ugly when she mentioned this. What the eldest sister said may be true, but you have miscalculated one thing.
What?
I was able to become the Crown Prince's consort before because of the Prime Minister's mansion. If it weren't for Prime Minister Shang asking me to marry for you, I really would not have had the chance to enter the Dingwa Palace. But now that I am sitting in this position, I rely on myself. She looked at Shang Yufu jokingly. I am not the eldest sister, who is a pair of parents who are willing to ruin other people's lives for your future. So, if I want something, I have to fight for it myself. Because of this, whether the Shang family stands or falls has nothing to do with me. However, now that the Prime Minister's mansion is in trouble, it has relieved my hatred. Why should I help you? Haven't you ever thought about it? If your father is convicted and you are his daughter, what will others say about you? What a joke. He committed a crime. Why would others say anything about me? Did I ask him to collaborate with the enemy and kill the soldiers? Did I ask him to massacre the people of the aristocratic families? He did all these things. What does it have to do with me? She sneered. Why didn't he say such things to the emperor when I was exiled? Why didn't you go to him to plead for me? Shang Ruai's words left the eldest lady and Shang Yufu with no way to defend themselves. The eldest lady made up her mind and whispered, "You said that the affairs of the Xiangfu have nothing to do with you, and your father's affairs have nothing to do with you. Then what about your mother's affairs?" Shang Ruai frowned. "What do you mean?" Hee. Don't you want to know why your father has so many concubines in the backyard, but none of them is as beautiful as your mother, but she died the most miserably and was the least favored by your father. Except for me, even other concubines can torture her and torture you at will. Why is this? The smile on Shang Ruai's face disappeared completely, and she looked at her coldly. You are finally willing to admit that my mother's death has something to do with you. It has something to do with me? The eldest lady sneered. If the people of Bailey knew that your mother was a fickle woman, do you think you can still sit firmly as the prince's consort? Do you think that the Dingwa Palace will kick you out for the sake of face? Shang Ruai's face suddenly turned cold. You are fickle and unfaithful? Shang Ruai said word by word. Are you sure that every word you said is true? The eldest lady sneered. Of course it is true. Although I don't know who the adulterer is, I am not the only one who knows the ugly things your mother has done. Shang Ruai's eyes were slightly cold. Since the eldest lady is so sure, then tell me how my mother is fickle? You are not the flesh and blood of the Prime Minister. You are a rascal who doesn't even know who his biological father is. The eldest lady raised her chin slightly. Pregnant before marriage, the biological father is unknown, and the prince's wife of the Prince of Dingwang doesn't even know who his biological father is. If such news spreads, what do you think the world will think? What will everyone in the Dingwang Palace think? The eldest lady thought that what she said would definitely scare her very much, but she didn't expect that she would laugh out loud. What are you laughing at? After a long while, Shang Ruai stopped laughing. Then I really have to thank you for telling me this. What do you mean? You just said that I am not Shang Nian's biological daughter. You don't think I will be sad? She said with a smile. Shang Nian did such a thing that is worse than pigs and dogs. Do you think I want to be his daughter? Do you think I want the identity of the concubine of the Prime Minister's mansion? Shang Ruai's words made the eldest lady and Shang Yufu feel depressed. On the contrary, I am very fortunate that I am not Shang Nian's biological daughter. Otherwise, this Dingwa Palace really can't accommodate me. She yawned, with a little tiredness on her face. If you want to save him, I can show you a way. She looked at Shang Yufu. Since you are the prince's concubine appointed by the emperor, the person you should look for most should be the prince. The prince? Shang Yufu is shocked. Yes. She still has the prince. I'm tired, Xiaoyao, show me off. Shang Ruai waved her hand and left without looking at the eldest lady and Shang Yufu. As soon as she stepped out of the door, a dark figure walked in. The eldest lady and Shang Yufu were stunned for a moment when they saw the person coming. Unexpectedly, it was He Jingheng. The eldest lady's eyes turned, and she greeted him with a flattering smile on her face.
Xian Su.
The eldest lady said with a smile, I didn't expect to see Xian Su today. He Jingheng glanced at her. This is the Dingwang Palace. Are you surprised to see me? The eldest lady knew that she had said something wrong, and a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face. Shang Yufu's eyes fell on his legs, and she couldn't help feeling unwilling when she saw his handsome appearance now. Everyone in the world said that the Prince of Dingwang was disabled. She didn't want to waste her life with a disabled person, and she didn't want to live under the ridicule of others. If she hadn't chosen to cancel the engagement at that time, the man in front of her would be hers now, and she wouldn't be in such a desperate situation.
Prince.
Shang Yufu said softly. Prince, please forgive my father. Please. She couldn't stop her tears from falling. As long as you don't pursue it, you can ask Yufu to do anything. He Jingheng heard this and sneered. Anything? Shang Yufu nodded. Anything. But I don't want anything except Shang Nian's life. He Jingheng looked at Shang Yufu, his eyes full of coldness. When you used Ruoi as bait, used her and abandoned her, did you ever think that this day would come? You hurt the person I care about the most. Do you think I will do as you wish? The The person I care about the most? Shang Yufu heard this. A trace of jealousy flashed in her eyes. She was also very regretful. Prince, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have regretted the engagement and shouldn't have abandoned our engagement, but the prince insisted on marrying me, so I had to obey. Shang Yufu cried and said, Prince, please, let my father go.
Oh,
He Jingheng sneered. You should be glad that you regretted the engagement. He looked at her with contempt. Otherwise, you might have died a long time ago.
what?
Do you think that anything can enter the door of our Dingwa palace? He Jingheng's words made Shang Yufu feel like she was falling into an ice cellar. She had just offered herself to him, but he didn't even look at her. She was obviously the legitimate daughter. Why did Shang Ruai, a lowly concubine's daughter, a rascal who didn't even know who her biological father was, do that? Why did she have the preference of a love-struck man like He Jingheng? Unwilling. How could she be willing?
Prince.
She was about to tell Shang Ruai's life story when she was interrupted by the eldest lady. Your Highness, my daughter's words and actions were rude. Please forgive me. The eldest lady whispered. She is very worried about her father's affairs. Please don't blame me if I have offended her. She pinched Shang Yufu hard. Shang Yufu felt pain and quickly closed her mouth. After leaving Dingwa Palace and getting on the carriage, Shang Yufu said angrily, Mother, why did you stop me just now? Why didn't you let me reveal her true face to the prince? She twisted her handkerchief, wishing she could tear it into pieces. I want to see, when he knows Shang Ruai's humble identity, will he still hold her in the palm of his hand like he does now? We can't rush this matter. The eldest lady said coldly, Since she doesn't care who her biological father is, let's find her a biological father. Since she doesn't want to be the second lady of the Prime Minister's mansion, let's let her know how important a noble mother's family is. What mother means is. The eldest lady had a determined smile on her face. Just wait. Shang Ruai returned to the room and remembered what the eldest lady said. It seemed that Shang Yan knew from the beginning that she was not her child. According to the time of her birth, her mother was already 3 months pregnant when she married Shang Yan. Since Shang Yan knew it from the beginning and still questioned whether he wanted to marry her, it meant that Shang Yan had something in mind for her mother. In her memory, she had lived a good life for several years when she was born. Later, because the Wei family fell into poverty and could no longer afford money, Shang Yan began to allow the eldest lady to torture them. The fact that Shang Yan could become the prime minister was also directly related to the money the Wei family was willing to give him. The Wei family was once very prosperous in the capital, but their fate was not much better than that of the Ling family. Most of the remaining descendants of the Wei family have moved away, and few of them are alive today. It is said that when the Wei family went bankrupt, they were penniless, and those shops had long been transferred to Shang Yan's name. Wei family, Ling family. Shang Ruai felt a chill in her heart. She always felt that the demise of these two families might be related, but she couldn't put it into words. What's wrong? He Jingheng saw her frowning face as soon as he walked in. But what happened? Shang Ruai shook her head. There are just some things I can't figure out. What is it? Tell me. Maybe your husband can help. The Wei family's property. He Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard it. This happened many years ago? Where is the family property now? Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. When I was young, I heard my mother mention that the Wei family has been doing business since the previous dynasty. How could a family that has been passed down for hundreds of years have only these things left in the end? You mean? He Jingheng put away the smile on his face. All the things of the Wei family have been moved? Not to mention the Wei family's farms, fields, and shops. Just the gold, silver, jewelry, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings, no matter how many carriages are used to load them all. Even if they lost a lot in business, how could they lose all the property? They looked at each other. Those gold, silver, and jewels must have been hidden by Shang Yan. Shang Ruai said with a smile, It seems that we need to go to Shang's house. At night, 2 black figures landed in the backyard of Shang's house. They came to a very remote courtyard. The courtyard was pitch black. She opened the door of the room and took out a tinder, barely able to see the things around. The room was very simple, with only a table and 2 chairs, and a bed without even a curtain. It was not even as good as a servant's room. What is this place? This is the courtyard where I lived before I got married. She took out a pottery jar from under the bed with a smile on her face. I forgot it on the day of my return. She took out a small rattle and a few small toys from the pottery jar. This is what my mother used to amuse me when I was a child. With the weak light of the fire, Shang Ruai's eyes fell on those small toys. I saw that the object that looked like a butterfly was inlaid with a gem larger than a pigeon egg. She picked up the rattle and found that except for the drum head, everything else was made of gold. She then took out some other things one after another, all of which were inlaid with many treasures. Shang Ruai looked at those things and murmured, "Is this really what I used to play with when I was a child?" He Jingheng was originally still feeling sorry for her hard life in the Prime Minister's mansion, but looking at this pile of gold, silver, and jewelry, he began to feel sorry for himself. "I was born in a royal palace, and I don't have such priceless gadgets as you. When I was born, the Wei family was prosperous, and there were many good things." She touched the small rattle. "After the Wei family declined, my mother and I stayed in this yard and lived a life of eating from one meal to the next. But even so, my mother didn't take these out. I think she must have known that if she took them out, she might even lose the last thing to save her life. She took out all the gadgets in the pottery jar. Before my mother died, she told me to take these things away, but I completely forgot about it on the day I got married." At this moment, a piece of parchment fell out. Shang Ruai picked it up and looked at it for a long time. "This is a map?" She suddenly remembered the map that Song Fangji gave her. "This seems to be able to be pieced together. This is a treasure map." He Jingheng whispered, "This is a treasure map left by the previous emperor." He put the map in her hand. "I thought it was just a legend, but I didn't expect it to be true. Could it be that Shang Yan's real purpose of marrying her mother was for this?" After putting everything away and putting the pottery jar back, the two of them walked out of the yard. Shang Ruai was very familiar with the terrain here and took He Jingheng to the direction of the warehouse. Since Shang Yan was imprisoned, all the guards of the Shang family have been withdrawn, leaving only a few servants. After all, they don't have the money to feed these servants. Now the emperor has only sentenced him to death, but did not order a confiscation of his property. It should be for the sake of the prince. "Mother," Shang Yufu said in a low voice, "now the emperor has not publicly cancelled our family's marriage with the prince, but today I asked the servants to deliver the visiting card to the prince's mansion, but they were not able to enter the door. Does the prince not want to recognize our marriage? Fuer, we can't rely on the Dinghua Palace now. The only one who can save your father is the prince." The eldest lady said in a low voice, "It's all the fault of my parents. You have been implicated for nothing. Then my daughter will go to the prince's mansion in person tomorrow." All these words fell into the ears of Shang Ruai and He Jingheng. She sneered at the corner of her lips. "Want to save Shang Yan? Dream on." The two came to the door of the warehouse, and there was not even a guard. There were only a few boxes inside, and there was nothing in the boxes. It seems that after the last theft, they moved all the things away. The Wei family is the richest family, with a large family and a large business. There must be a lot of treasures of all kinds. If it was really taken by Shang Yan, it must be hidden in this prime minister's mansion. Shang Ruai closed her eyes, and a stream of pure energy entered her body from space. When she opened her eyes again, everything in the house was reflected in her pupils. She looked for a long time, but did not find any place where gold, silver, and jewelry were hidden. Just when she was about to look away, her eyes accidentally fell on the warehouse behind her. At one glance, she was stunned. Just behind this wall, there were hundreds of large boxes stacked, full of gold, silver, and jewelry, filling up a whole warehouse. She walked in quickly and reached out to touch the wall. "What are you doing?" "Nothing." Shang Ruai was shocked and almost forgot that there was this ancestor next to her. "There is nothing to find here. Maybe he hid the things of the Wei family somewhere else." He Jingheng nodded. "It's getting late. It's time to go back and rest." The two returned to the mansion, and He Jingheng left because of urgent military affairs. Shang Ruai originally wanted to go to Shang's house again tomorrow, but She couldn't hold back her desire to find treasures, so she changed into her nightgown again and flew away. Prince. A secret guard stepped forward. The prince's wife has left. He Jinghun looked at the book in his hand and sighed helplessly. It was clear from her expression just now that she had discovered something, but she didn't say anything because he was there. When will you be willing to share these secrets with me? He picked up the book again and started reading. Shang Ruai came to the storeroom of the Prime Minister's mansion and fumbled on the wall for a while without finding any mechanism. Is there another door here? She was about to turn around and leave when she suddenly saw a shelf in the north corner. This storeroom is empty, so why is there this shelf? She walked closer and looked for a while. Her eyes fell on a bulge on the wall. If you don't look carefully, you can't tell the difference between this place and other places. She pressed lightly and saw a small door suddenly opened in the wall next to her. She walked in slowly and looked at the mountains of gold, silver, and jewelry in front of her, and she couldn't help but stand there in a daze. Is indeed the richest man in the capital. There are more things than the emperor's private treasury. These are all the things of the Wei family. She saw many objects, which were very similar to the objects she had just taken out of the pottery jar in terms of workmanship and material. Since these are the things of the Wei family, they belong to her mother, and her mother's are hers. With a wave of her hand, she took away all the gold, silver, and jewelry in the warehouse. Her eyes fell on a box, and she opened the box, only to see that the box was full of land deeds and land properties. Oh my God! Shang Ruai swallowed her saliva. What does it mean to be rich enough to rival a country? This is it. She didn't look at it for long and simply put them all into the space. After confirming that she didn't leave even a copper coin, she clapped her hands with satisfaction and turned to leave. She returned to the palace with satisfaction. At this time in the prison, Shang Nian was kneeling on the ground and said to He Lingxing, "Your Highness, please come to your uncle." Prime Minister Shang, I never thought that there would be no one willing to speak for you in the court. He Lingxing said coldly, since my father has issued an order, there is no possibility of changing it. Shang Nian fell to the ground in despair after hearing this. It's over, it's all over. He has worked hard all his life, and he never expected to end up like this.
No.
Absolutely not. He still has so many things to do, and so much money to spend. He can't just die like this. Didn't your Highness say that you would protect me? His hands trembled. That treasure map. Treasure map? He Lingxing sneered. It's just a fragment, and whether it is real or not remains to be verified. Prime Minister Shang is overthinking it to use this treasure map to threaten me. Your Highness, how dare I use such a thing to deceive your Highness? He whispered, I got this treasure map from the Ling family. On the day the Ling family was destroyed, I got this fragment in the secret room of the head of the Ling family. The Ling family has been an imperial merchant since the previous dynasty, and the heads of the Ling family in all generations are people that the emperor trusts very much, so I conclude that this fragment must be one of the treasure maps. He Lingxing narrowed his eyes. Prime Minister Shang, there is only one copy of this treasure map? Shang Nian pondered for a moment and then said, normally, there should be 2 copies, but I haven't found them yet. What do you mean? Your Highness should know that I have a concubine, Wei, the daughter of the former richest man in the capital. What does this have to do with Wei? He naturally knew about Wei, because she was Shang Ruai's biological mother. The Wei family was also an imperial merchant before. I thought the Wei family must have a copy of this map fragment, but no matter how I asked or investigated, I couldn't find it. Shang Nian said in a deep voice, but I think that this map must be hidden in the Wei family. He Lingxing saw that his expression did not seem to be lying, and paused and said, that's just your inference. Your Highness, I am loyal to your Highness, and my legitimate daughter is about to enter the mansion as a concubine. How could I deceive your Highness? He Lingxing sneered. Yes. Your legitimate daughter is about to enter the mansion, but at this time, you were thrown into the sky prison. Prime Minister Shang, do you think that your father will let her be my concubine? He Lingxing's words made Shang Nian feel disappointed. It's not that a woman cannot marry again if her engagement is broken off, But if the royal family breaks off the engagement, which family would dare to marry her?
Für.
Shangnian fell to the ground. Your Highness, I beg you, can you let Fu enter the mansion even if she is just a concubine? He Lingxing sneered. The prince's mansion will naturally not take a concubine seriously, but any woman who marries into the prince's mansion will bring a very generous dowry. Now that your Shang mansion is in this state, can we, the prince's mansion, pay for your daughter's dowry? His eyes were cold. If she wants to enter the mansion, it is not impossible. Bring the other fragment. I will not only welcome her into the mansion, but also give her the position of concubine. Otherwise, you can just wait for your precious daughter to be accompanied by the ancient Buddha and the green lamp. He turned around, as if he thought of something, and said with a smile, the reason why your Shang family has not been confiscated now is all because of me. Otherwise, with the crimes you have committed, not to mention the execution of the whole family, your wife and daughter will also become official maids. You should know what the fate of official maids is like. He Lingxing's words scared him completely. He knelt on the ground, tugging at He Lingxing's clothes. Your Highness, I really don't have another fragment. He Lingxing turned around and left after hearing this. But I have the Wei family's property.
What?
The Wei family's property? Shangyan's voice trembled. There is a secret door in the storehouse of my home. That secret door is the Wei family's property, a warehouse full of gold and silver treasures. As long as your Highness is willing to marry Fu, all of these will be brought into the prince's mansion as Fu's dowry. His words moved He Lingxing's heart slightly.
Okay.
He Lingxing said coldly. In this case, I will believe you once. As long as what you said is true, I will marry Shang Yufu. If you dare to lie to me, I will not only take your life, but your wife and daughter will also become the lowest official maids. After leaving the Tianlao, He Lingxing asked people to investigate in the storehouse of Shang Mansion. Not long after, Li Ju returned to the study. Your Highness, it is just as Shangyan said. There is indeed a secret door in the Shang family storehouse, but the secret door seems to have been opened by someone, and the things inside have disappeared. He Lingxing frowned. All gone? Yes. Li Ju thought for a while. I looked at the traces on the ground. There were indeed things placed inside, and it seems that there were a lot of them. It seems that someone got there first, he said in a cold voice. It was this time, and it was also the time in Dinghua Palace. Your Highness, as you said, his method is exactly the same as that of the person in Dinghua Palace. Who is it? He Lingxing clenched his fists and shouted angrily. Who on earth is it? Your Highness, the people in the Shang mansion. Since Shangyan can't produce what I want, they are of no value. The next day, the emperor issued an edict to announce to the world that Shangyan's crime was unforgivable, and he was sentenced to immediate execution for multiple crimes. All the women in the prime minister's mansion were made official maids, the servants were dismissed, and the married daughters were not implicated. When Shang Ruai got the news, she just nodded lightly. The fate of the Shang family was within her expectations. But she was very fortunate that she had the foresight to take away the Wei family's things. If they were discovered during the house search, they would definitely be added to the national treasury. At this moment, Xiaoyao walked in. Miss, someone is coming to the mansion. Who? Xin Shi, the legitimate daughter of the Duke's mansion, and Mu Qingming, the legitimate daughter of the right prime minister. What are the two of them doing here? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. What were the two of them doing here? Miss, the princess asked you to go to the front hall. After changing her clothes, she went to the main hall. Before arriving, I heard voices coming from the main hall. Although the queen has been to that bitter and cold land, how come she looks younger? Mu Qingming said with a smile. She is in better condition than the last time I visited her. You are so sweet. Qin had a smile on her face. You can make me happy every time you come. Miss Mu is right. I also think the queen is a little younger. Xin Shi waved his hand, and the maid behind him took out a box. Here is a wild ginseng that my grandfather and father accidentally obtained when they were fighting outside. According to the palace doctor, it has extremely high medicinal value and can best replenish qi and blood. I thought you might be able to use it. Now that I have met the queen, I feel that this ginseng is a bit inappropriate. Shen Shi's words made Qin even happier. In addition, Shen Shi's grandfather and father were both military generals. Compared with Mu Qingning, Qin was naturally closer to Shen Shi. Qin's eyes fell on Shen Shi. Has she reached the age of marriage? Your Highness, she has just reached the age of marriage. Qin smiled. In the blink of an eye, you have grown into big girls. I still remember when you were just born, you were so small and still in swaddling clothes. Yes, when Mother was alive, she told me that you held me in your arms on the day of the full moon banquet. Qin was chatting happily with Shen Shi. Seeing this, Mu Qingning, who was sitting on the other side, couldn't help feeling jealous. Could it be that this woman wanted to please Princess Ding so that she could marry into the Dingwang Palace? That won't do. That witch Shang Ruai is just a lowly concubine's daughter. Although she is now the crown prince's consort, given the current state of the Shang family, it is only a matter of time before she is divorced. If she marries He Jingheng, the position of crown prince's consort will definitely be hers in the future. But if Qin Shi also has this idea, things will become a little tricky. The Shin family is a military family, and everyone in Prince Ding's mansion will definitely be closer to Qin Shi, and she will become her biggest stumbling block. Qin Shi looked at her, guessed what she was thinking, and smiled contemptuously. What a brainless person. Just then, a maid came in. Your Majesty, the Crown Prince's consort is here. Please come in, come in. Qin Shi noticed the expression on Qin's face. When she mentioned Shang Ruai, her eyes obviously lit up. Not only that, the smile on her lips also became more sincere. Mu Qingning didn't notice these subtle expressions at all. She just looked at the woman who came in through the door with a face full of bitterness and hatred. Shang Ruai was wearing a goose-yellow dress with a white fox fur cloak on the outside. Her long black hair was tied with a ribbon, and she only had a hairpin on her head. It was obviously the simplest decoration, but when she wore it, she felt like a fairy who had fallen into the world. Qin Shi's eyes fell on the hairpin in her hair, and he was stunned. I saw a huge oriental pearl inlaid on the jade hairpin, and the most rare thing was that the oriental pearl was golden. Greetings to Mother. Come quickly, come quickly. Qin waved her hand and said, Come and sit next to Mother. Thank you, Mother. Greetings to the Crown Prince's consort. Qin Shi and Mu Qingning leaned forward slightly. Mu Qingning rolled her eyes secretly. She felt uncomfortable at the thought of paying respects to a lowly concubine's daughter. No need to be polite. Shang Ruai's eyes fell on Qin Shi. She looked indifferent, but when she looked at the hairpin on her head, her expression changed slightly. On the other hand, Mu Qingning looked very angry, and the word anger was almost written on her face. I've heard about the second young lady of Prime Minister Shang's mansion for a long time. No, she can't be called Prime Minister now. Qin Shi changed her words and said, The second young lady of the Shang family is outstanding in appearance and charming. I have never seen her before. I have the honor to see her today. She is indeed a beauty. No wonder the princess likes her. If it were a younger generation, I would certainly like her very much. Shi, and I think the same thing. Qin looked at Shang Ruai and said with satisfaction, I have seen countless people, but I have never seen a girl as beautiful as Ruai. You are too kind, Mother. Shang Ruai smiled. In fact, she began to feel sleepy now. Mu Qingning looked at Shang Ruai unwillingly, sneered and said, Did the Crown Prince's concubine go to the heavenly prison to see Lord Shang? Shang Ruai leaned back in the chair and shook her head. No. The Crown Prince's concubine is really putting justice above her own family. Now that Lord Shang is imprisoned, not only did you not plead for him, but you didn't even go to see him off for the last time. Aren't you afraid of chilling his feelings? Shang Ruai almost laughed out loud when she heard this. Her eyes fell on Qin beside her, and her face was indeed not as good-looking as it was just now. Yes, it was the Dinghua Palace that sent Shang Nian to the heavenly prison. Now that Mu Qingning said such words in front of Princess Ding, anyone would think that she was speaking up for the Shang Palace. Mu Qingning is willing to say anything to discredit her. I don't know if she really has a brain or not. Why should I go to see him? Shang Ruai sneered. I really don't know why I have to go. Lord Shang is your biological father. You don't even care about your own father's life or death. Who else can you care about? Mu Qingning curled her lips in disdain. The Dinghua Palace is the most affectionate and righteous. It's really a shame to marry a daughter-in-law like you. She looked at Princess Jean and saw that she looked ugly. She thought that what she said was heard by her and continued. Yes, you were just a concubine's daughter before, and no one taught you much about etiquette, righteousness, integrity, and shame. Naturally, you don't understand the rules of this family. Shen Shui looked at Mu Qingning, who was talking to herself there, and wished he could stay away from her immediately. With such a brain, how did the right Prime Minister's mansion raise such a legitimate daughter? I really don't understand the rules of aristocratic families, but I think I understand benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness better than Miss Mu. Shang Ruai said in a cold voice. Shang Yan's crimes are too numerous to list. He framed loyal ministers and killed soldiers. He is my father and a sinner of the whole world. What's wrong with me ignoring such a person? She curled the corners of her lips and sneered. Or, do you think that the prince and the prince are wrong to expose Shang Yan's crimes? Her words woke Mu Qingning up from a dream. She then realized what she had said, and looking at Princess Ding's extremely ugly expression, she hurriedly said, Princess, please forgive me. I didn't mean that. It's okay. Qin rubbed her forehead, looking tired. Seeing this, Qin Shi stood up and saluted. Your Majesty has just returned, and we came to disturb you. It is really wrong. Please don't blame us. Compared to Mu Qingning, Qin Shi is really much better. No problem. I'll take my leave first. I'll come visit you again when you feel better. Seeing that she had no intention of keeping him, Qin Shi hurriedly said goodbye and left. Seeing this, Mu Qingning also stood up and said goodbye. When Shang Ruai sent the two of them out, Mu Qingning secretly glared at her a few times. Shang Ruai saw it all but ignored it. Shang Ruai could guess what she was thinking with just one look. The one who was really hard to see through was the eldest daughter of the Shin family. Princess, please stay a moment.
Bye.
She turned around and got on the carriage. Mu Qingning rolled her eyes at her, and also got on and left. Qin went back to rest, and Shang Ruai went straight back to the yard. What do you know about the Mu family and the Shin family? Xiaoyao shook her head. Miss, the Mu family has always been at odds with our Shang family. When I was serving in the Prime Minister's mansion, I heard people say that the eldest daughter was often bullied by the young ladies of the Mu family outside, but I have never heard of this young lady of the Shin family. Are you worried that they want to marry into the Dinghua Palace? Shang Ruai shook her head. This Qin Shi didn't come here to please my mother today. Since he doesn't want to please my mother, he naturally has no intention of marrying in. Mu Qingning is almost writing the words come to my house to propose marriage on her face, but with her brain, even if she grows another one, she doesn't have the qualifications and ability to marry in here. Then what are you worried about? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. She didn't know if she saw it wrong. There was a strange feeling in Qin Shi's eyes when he looked at her. When Qin Shi returned to the mansion, the maid Furong came forward and hung her outer robe on the rack. Miss, the wild ginseng was specially found by the Duke and asked you to give it to the imperial concubine. Why did you take it to the Ding Palace? Furong muttered, no matter how good the things you bring are, you can't marry into the Ding Palace.
You.
Qin Shi nodded her head. You are short-sighted. Furong rubbed her forehead. Forgive me for my stupidity. The Ding Palace has just returned to the capital. Others don't know the reasons, but Daddy can tell me clearly that the more people are waiting and watching, the more sincerity we must show. She soaked her hands in warm water. Didn't you see the expression on Princess Ding's face when she saw the wild ginseng? There was no trace of surprise. She even felt that the extremely precious wild ginseng in their eyes was just an ordinary object, not worth mentioning. What concerned her most was the hairpin on Shang Ruai's head. I'm afraid even the queen has never worn such a big pearl, and it's a golden one, which is simply unheard of. She took out the dongju that concubine Zhao had previously rewarded her with, and it instantly became worthless of only a few silver coins. Miss, do you want to make this dongju into jewelry? Chun Shi threw it into the jewelry box without even looking at it. Seeing her young lady's actions, Varong quickly shut her mouth. Mu Qingning returned to the Prime Minister's mansion and went back to her room angrily. I was tricked by that little witch. Her chest heaved violently, and she threw the pillow on the bed to the ground. How dare a mere concubine's daughter bully me today? When the right Prime Minister's wife, Zhao, heard that she had returned, she hurried in. Her mother was also very lucky. After being taken away by her enemies, she was able to grow up in such a family. She took out the sheepskin map and took Song Fangji's map. It turned out to be the same map, and they could be put together. Now there is only half of the map, and no one knows where the other half is. At this moment, Xiaoyao's voice came over. Miss, the princess invites you. She walked out of the space and opened the door. Who is coming today? Since the Mu family and the Shun family came yesterday, several ladies and young ladies came in the afternoon. She was not good at socializing, and sitting there felt like a torture. It's still the Mu family. Xiaoyao whispered. Mrs. Mu brought Miss Mu to visit today. The princess asked you to dress up nicely. Shang Ruai looked at her in surprise. Dress up? After figuring out the secret, Shang Ruai couldn't help but laugh out loud. Her mother was really adorable. But since her mother said so, she naturally had to dress up well, at least to outdo Mu Qingning. She came to the main hall. Madame Mu was chatting with Qin. Alas, my Ninga was protected too well by me. She is ignorant of worldly affairs and has no scheming. She is not like some girls who think they are smart and use some inferior means to annoy people for no reason. Qin knew who she was talking about, so she just smiled and said nothing. Before she got married, she had some friendship with Madame Mu, but after so many years, that friendship was no longer enough to talk about. Seeing that she was not in a good mood, Madame Mu was about to talk about the past when she heard the servant report. Princess, the crown prince's consort is here. Shang Ruai walked in, mother. Come quickly. Qin said with a smile. This is the wife of the right Prime Minister's mansion. Shang Ruai nodded and sat next to Qin. The crown prince's consort is really beautiful. Her eyes fell on Shang Ruai's face and then looked at the hairpins on her head, and she was secretly surprised. Today she wore a hairpin made of dongju and several dongju hairpins. Although her hair was simple, she looked very noble. Dongju was not something that ordinary people could afford, and not everyone was qualified to wear it. She glanced at Qin, with a hint of sarcasm on her lips. The crown prince's consort's headdress is really exquisite. I haven't seen such luxurious jewelry in many years. Her eyes moved between Shang Ruai and Princess Zhan. I guess this dongju jewelry must have been given to the crown prince's consort by the princess. Qin smiled. How can I have such good dongju? Upon hearing this, Madame Mu pretended to be surprised and said, How is it possible? In this palace, everything should be put first by the old princess and the princess. Such a noble headdress, the princess doesn't even have it. How can she wear it on the crown prince's consort? Mu Qingning sat aside and said sarcastically, Crown prince's consort, forgive me for being too talkative. The princess has treated you well. Not only has she taken good care of you in the land of exile, but even when your father did so many wrong things, the princess has treated you as before. With such kindness, how can you be so presumptuous? Presumptuous? Shang Ruai smiled. Why do you say that, Miss Mu? How can the crown prince's consort wear such a precious jewelry as the dongju alone? It should have been worn by the princess royal before it can be the crown prince's consort's turn. Mu Qingning's righteous look almost made Shang Ruai laugh out loud. But considering the crown prince's consort's background, it's not surprising that she didn't do these things. Madame Mu smiled. I heard that the crown prince's consort's biological mother was Shangnian's concubine, and she came from a merchant family. How much knowledge can a daughter of a merchant have? She probably didn't learn much about etiquette. She looked at Qin. Your Majesty still needs to teach her well. Qin's face suddenly darkened when she heard this. Just as she was about to speak, she heard Shang Ruai sneer at her side. Madame Mu, I respect you as the wife of the right Prime Minister and my mother's concubine, but you have endured it to this extent. If there is anyone who is truly ignorant of propriety, righteousness, integrity, and shame, it is Madame Mu. What did you say? Madame Mu's face darkened, and she said in a cold voice, How dare you speak rudely? Speak rudely? Shang Ruai sneered. Who is speaking rudely? This is the Dingwang mansion. Although I am a concubine's daughter, I am now the prince's wife, a member of the royal family. You are just a wife of the right prime minister, but you dare to point fingers at me in the Dingwang mansion, and you don't even know how to greet this prince's wife. You are disrespecting the royal family.
You.
She sat up straight, grabbing the armrests with both hands. You are the descendant of a criminal. So, what if you are the descendant of a criminal? Even the emperor will not pursue it. What right do you have to say something about me here? Who do you think you are? Are you more noble than the emperor? Shang Ruai snorted coldly. I am a concubine's daughter, and my mother is the daughter of a merchant. So what? Shang Ruai, eat a grain of rice from your family, or tear a piece of cloth from your family. You only know that my mother is the daughter of a merchant, but you know that the Wei family was once the richest in the capital, and the taxes paid to the court every year are more than the annual income and expenditure of your family. Without merchants like my grandfather, the court would have no taxes, the treasury would be empty, and the court officials would have no regular silver to pay. How would you eat and drink? Are you starving? She took out a ruby the size of a pigeon egg and played with it casually in her hands. I can have as many gems as I want. She took out another oriental pearl. I use such oriental pearls as marbles. I have no knowledge, but do you? How much knowledge do you have? Come and tell me, and I will also take a look. Shang Ruai's words made the mother and daughter of the Mu family blush and turn pale. How could they know that Shang Ruai had such a fortune? They really had never seen such a big oriental pearl. At this time, Princess Jean beside them said, Ruai, the Dongju bracelet you gave me before is not this color, and the bead necklace you gave to Grandma, one is purple and the other is gold. I think they're better looking than this white. What? Bracelet and bead necklace? How many Dongju beads are needed to make it? And what color did Princess Jean just say? Purple and gold. How is this possible? Just when the two of them were doubtful, Princess Jean lifted her sleeves to reveal the purple Dongju bracelet. Seeing this, the mother and daughter of the Mu family turned pale. Their eyes were glued to the bracelet and couldn't move away. Mother doesn't like the color white, so I naturally won't use white Dongju as a headdress for you. However, grinding the white Dongju into fine powder can be used to apply on the face, making the skin as white and bright as Dongju. The fine white powder you asked the servants to bring is Dongju powder?
Yes.
Shang Ruai said with a smile. I see that mother's skin is getting better today. This is all thanks to you. Qin took Shang Ruai's hand and looked at Mu's mother and daughter fiercely. Originally, I didn't want to turn against you because of the sisterhood we had when we were young. Who knew that you would let you speak and act more outrageously, and now you are bullying the prince's consort of my Dingwang mansion under my nose. It's really too much. Upon hearing this, Madame Mu hurriedly stood up and knelt on the ground, and Mu Qingning behind her also knelt down. Your Majesty, please calm down. It is my fault. My words and actions have offended the princess and the crown prince's consort. Please forgive me for the sake of our past friendship. Humph. Princess Jean snorted coldly. There is not much friendship left now. Your Majesty. Since Madame Mu said that she and your mother still have a past friendship, why didn't you lend a helping hand when the Dingwa Palace was in trouble? Shang Ruai sneered. Or is it that the friendship between you and your mother only existed when the Dingwa Palace was powerful? Madame Mu was shocked when she heard this. That's not the case. That's not the case. Your Majesty, please listen to my explanation. No need to say more. Princess Jean glanced at her. I know your conflicting thoughts very well. The mother and daughter of the Mu family knelt on the ground, shaking like sieves. My lady princess, I didn't mean that. What do you mean? Princess Ding snorted coldly. You are just slandering Ruai in front of me, and want to marry your daughter to the Dingwa Palace, right? Madame Mu heard this, and stopped talking. Take your daughter away, who doesn't know the limits. I feel sick if I look at her for one more time. Princess Ding said angrily. Come on. Send her away. Shang Ruoyi didn't expect that Qin, who had always been weak and timid, would have such a domineering side. Qin took Shang Ruoyi's hand and said softly, "Good child, I am also a mother, and I also have a daughter. Although I am not your biological mother, since you married into our Dingwa palace, you are my child. What's more, you have saved us from danger several times and are the benefactor of the entire Dingwa palace. If anyone is against you, our Dingwa palace will be against him. Don't worry, everything is up to you." Shang Ruoyi heard the words, and her heart was warm. In her past and present lives, she had never known what it felt like to be protected by her mother. "Thank you, mother." At this moment, Hyuni walked in. "Mother, where have you been?" Qin saw her in a hurry and scolded her. Look, I haven't seen you at all these few days, and your grandmother asks about you every day." Hyuni looked at Shang Ruoyi and said with a smile, "Sister-in-law, I found you." Shang Ruoyi's eyes lit up when she heard that. Qin was standing aside, her eyes moving between the two of them. "What kind of charades are you talking about?" "It's not a big deal. I've been free these days, so I went out for tea with a few sisters I made friends with before, and by the way, I wanted to see what's new in the capital these days." "What's new?" Hyuni's eyes fell on Shang Ruoyi, and she smiled awkwardly. What they talk about the most is nothing more than the Shang family's affairs. Princess Ding rolled her eyes at her and said coldly, "Don't these people in the capital have anything new to say? What's the point of talking about other people's gossip all day long?" Shang Ruoyi couldn't help laughing when she heard it. "Mother, aren't these the things that the people like to talk about after dinner? Why get angry?" "Mother is not angry. She just feels that you have been wronged. The Shang family's affairs are not my business. No matter how they talk about it, I will never take it to heart." Qin patted her and looked at Hyuni. "Go on." Hyuni saw the bracelet on Qin's wrist and shook the bracelet on her own wrist. "Mother, look, my sister-in-law also gave me one. But the one on her wrist was a string of white oriental pearls. I think mother's seems to be more beautiful." Qin hurriedly put the bracelet away. "Mother only has this one. If you like it, just ask your sister-in-law for it. Mother is so stingy." Hyuni walked to Shang Ruoyi and put her arm around her. "Sister-in-law treats me the best." Shang Ruoyi smiled and took out a string of purple oriental pearl bracelets from her sleeve pocket. "I prepared it for you a long time ago." She took out a string of gold and handed it to Qin. "Mother, this is yours." Qin was very envious when she saw the golden pearl necklace she gave to the old princess that day, but she was too embarrassed to ask for it. Today, she got the bracelet and hurriedly put it on. "Sister-in-law, where did you get so many dongju?" Hyuni knew that her sister-in-law had great magical powers, but there were so many dongju, and each of them was of the highest quality, that she was so scared that she had to tidy up her sleeves from time to time when she went out today, for fear that her dongju would be seen and stolen. "The mountain people have their own clever plans." Shang Ruoyi smiled. "Of course, it cannot be revealed casually. You haven't told me yet, what exactly did you do today? And what did you find?" "It's not a big deal." Shang Ruoyi smiled. "It's just that I asked Yuni to help me keep an eye on the shops when I go out." "Shops?" Qin said hurriedly. "There are hundreds of shops in our Dingwa palace. Whichever one you like, just take it. Why go out and buy it? This shop has some use for me, and it's not worth much silver." Shang Ruoyi looked at Hyuni. "Where's the shop?" "Sister-in-law, if you have time, I will take you to have a look now." Without waiting for Shang Ruoyi to answer, Hyuni dragged her away. Qin sure looked at their backs with a smile and tears. Since Ruoyi came in, this huge mansion has become much more lively. Even the daughter, who used to be dull and didn't like to see people, has become so bright. Ruoyi is really the lucky star of their Dingwa palace. "Someone come. Empress. Find out the deeds of the best and largest shops under the name of our palace, and send them to the princess so that she can choose carefully."
"Yes."
Shang Ruoyi and Hyuni came to a house. "Sister-in-law, this is it," Hyuni said with a smile. "How is it here?" Shang Ruoyi looked at the location of the house and felt vaguely familiar. This was originally the house of a wealthy family, but the family fell into decline, and there is no successor. Now, there is only the housekeeper here. Shang Ruai stood at the door, and several pictures flashed through her mind. In the pictures, this place was crowded with people and extremely prosperous. Is this the Wei family? Shang Ruai asked in a low voice. Wei family? He uni-blinked. I haven't asked this yet. Just then, an old man came out. His eyes fell on Shang Ruai, and he couldn't help but stand there in a daze. Young lady? Butler Wei had gray hair and shook his head. No, that's not right. You are not a young lady. Our young lady has passed away. Are you Butler Wei? Hearing this, Butler Wei walked over quickly. You are the young lady. You are the young lady, right? Shang Ruai nodded. Butler Wei, I haven't seen you for many years. Young lady. Butler Wei suddenly burst into tears and knelt on the ground. Young lady, this old servant finally sees you. Shang Ruai frowned. What happened? Young lady. Butler Wei's face was full of tears. The Wei family went bankrupt. The master and his wife passed away one after another, and the young master was infected with an epidemic. Not long after the Wei family went bankrupt, the young master also died. The mansion owed a large sum of money. I had no choice but to look for the young lady, but the people in the Prime Minister's mansion said that the young lady had passed away. In desperation, I had to use all the remaining shops to pay off the debts. Now the entire Wei family is left with only this empty house. Steward Wei looked at Shang Ruai. Originally, I planned to sell this house for money and then go to the Prime Minister's mansion to look for you, but now the Prime Minister's mansion has been ransacked, and I don't know where to find you. I'm in the Dinghua Palace now. Shang Ruai helped him up. Tell me about what happened in the Wei family over the years. Shang Ruai followed the housekeeper Wei to the mansion. The mansion was very large, not much less than the Dinghua Palace. After all, he was once the richest man in the capital. Needless to say, the mansion was luxurious, and even the threshold was much higher than that of ordinary people. When she was young, she had come here before. At that time, the Wei family was at its peak. There were hundreds of servants serving in the mansion alone. Their lives were not as good as those of the emperor, but in this mansion, they were not much different from those of the emperor. After asking, Shang Ruai understood how the Wei family became such a miserable state today. It was nothing more than Shang Yan's eyes on the Wei family's property and wanted to take it for himself, and by the way, he used the Wei family's money to pave the way for his official career. When he gained power, he began to close the net, and everything in the Wei family fell into Shang Yan's pocket. Miss, our Wei family has dozens of farms and countless fertile fields in the suburbs of the city, and all of these have gone into the pocket of that beast Shang Yan. Shang Ruai couldn't help but sneer when she heard this. More than that? There are also countless gold, silver, jewelry, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. It can be said that if Shang Yan took these out, he would immediately become the richest man in the capital. But he didn't expect that now all these things he had worked so hard to get would become his death warrant. Butler Wei, don't worry. Now that I'm back, I will naturally not ignore the Wei family. What are your plans now, young lady? Repair the mansion. I will definitely let the Wei family regain its former glory. Shang Ruai asked Yunqi to dispatch some iron feather guards to come here to be responsible for the repair. Now that this house is not available, they have to find another one. She took the time to go to the suburbs of Beijing, where her grandfather and Li Xia are now settled. Grandfather, we're still looking for a house, don't worry.
Li Banshan's Milat, no.
He waved his hand. Even if it is here, I think it's great. He was more concerned about those Dongzhu clams. Did they really survive? Those Dongzhu clams are the lifeblood of his Li family, and they must not be cut off. Don't worry, they are all alive. She took out a few boxes. These are ornaments made from the recently opened Dongzhu pearls. Take a look. Li Wenshan opened the box, and the huge Dongzhu pearls made him dumbfounded. Hey, is this Dongzhu? Yes. She took out the bracelet from the box. How much is such a Dongzhu bracelet worth? Li Wenshan thought for a while and shook his head. I've never heard of it. Really unheard of. I don't know how much silver it is worth. Li Xia walked forward and looked at the Dongzhu, her eyes full of light. Grandfather, it's really a miracle. We are both raising Dongju clams. Why are the ones I raise all weird or dead? But when it comes to my sister, they all look like they have been given some strong medicine and are growing so amazingly. This is clearly bullying. She came to Shang Ruai and rubbed against her. Sister must have some good luck, and I want to get some good fortune too. Shang Ruai nodded her little head. You little money grubber. She pushed all the boxes over. Take them along for fun. When the place to raise pearl clams is ready in a few days, I'll take you there. There are so many pearl clams, you can raise as many as you want. In the next few days, Shang Ruai walked through most of the capital, but couldn't find a house that really suited her. He Jingheng also went out early and came back late every day, but Shang Ruai didn't ask much. On this day, she originally wanted to go around the street again to see if there was a suitable house, and He Jingheng walked in. Why are you back at this hour? He Jingheng smiled. Why can't I come back? Shang Ruai thought about it and secretly cursed herself for asking a stupid question. I saw that you were basically not at home these days, and I thought there was something important. What could be important? He stepped forward, trapped her between the table and himself, and whispered, What could be more important than your business?
Huh?
Shang Ruai couldn't help but be stunned. Her business? What do you mean? She pushed him a few times, but he didn't move at all. It's broad daylight. If you do this again, I will shout. He Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard it. Shout? Shout what? Shout that I am molesting you? What else? She pointed at his arm. Aren't you just being unruly now? We are husband and wife.